Doy, 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 doy.
Oh yeah, I'm old and grumpy, but try to understand that I have a problem, 'cause I can't use my head. I only have one hand. I only have one hand. I like to take my pen and stick it inside. Despite my kung fu grip, it's something I can't hide. I can't hide. I can't hide. So please vote for me, a cranky, bitter old man.
No.
And if you still make fun of me, I'll slap you like a man, but only with my good hand. I only have one hand. I only have one hand.
It's 9:02 at 560 WQM. Happy Monday to you. How come I'm hearing like an echo in the back today? Is there something new and exciting going on that I don't know about?
I don't know. Everything's off, as a matter of fact.
Beside the fact that our website is all screwed up? Our website's screwed up, everybody. I just mentioned that in passing, although we did have 1,711 votes over the weekend on the poll, including many of them real ones. But it must be that diddler again. I should have saved the facts from that guy who admitted screwing up the Key West Miami poll that day last week. Because it must have been him again. He must have gotten lonely last night.
As if he's the only one.
Great. No, I'm telling you right now. Grace Kelly was the winner. You're not fooling me, even though it says on there Marilyn Monroe. 1,711 votes, and you realize that we had, if you missed the poll, who is or was the most beautiful actress on TV or in the movies? Two people didn't get any votes. Loretta Young being one who didn't deserve it in the first place, and a guy from, was it Sunrise, that old fart that called in with that?
Okay.
I'm sure he don't have no computer. He's over the age of 100. In fact, he may not still be with us today. And Jane Russell didn't get any. Which I guess we just don't have the correct demographic for that. They don't remember Jane with her big macho look and those big gigantic breasts.
Yeah, and Howard Hughes is dead, so who's going to vote for her?
All those bra spots. And we better play Wonder Bra in honor of Jane. But she didn't get any votes. Out of over 1,700 votes to get zero is that's pretty evil, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It says Marilyn Monroe 147, Grace Kelly 144, but that's not correct. Grace Kelly won, Marilyn Monroe was second. I'm not even sure of that. Raquel Welch, 97, Sophia Loren, 86, Halle Berry, 84, and then it's way on down. Those were the contenders right there. Should I read all the other ones?
Sure.
Now get out of here. Just because our computers, our website screwed up today, we're not going to be doing a poll. Sorry about that, folks. No poll today. But I'm sure we'll get tons and tons of great calls. They'll be calling about the Beezer. And about that great piece on 60 Minutes last night. That was a piece, all right, a piece of crap. Seldom in my life, I'll read the rest of the results when I feel like it. Seldom in my life have I ever seen anything so overhyped as that piece of garbage last night. And because George didn't see it, are you ever in luck this morning?
Woo!
I taped it special.
Oh.
The chef cooked special. And he said, call everybody when the party started, the Clinton-Dole party. You know, this is so much like everything else on TV. They hype it up. Oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be really controversial. It was about as controversial as a fog farting in the wind, you know? It's terminal. And what they're going to do to spruce that up, I have no idea. But you people, the CBS eye is weeping from this episode last night on 60 Minutes.
Senator Dole, if there is military action in Iraq, victory will probably come quickly because we're stronger and Iraq is weaker than in the 1991 Gulf War. But it won't be cheap. The conflict in rebuilding Iraq afterward will cost many billions. We're already running big deficits, thanks largely to the huge tax cut 2 years ago, nearly half of which went to the top 1%, like you and me. Now, when we're cutting back on everything from homeland security to education, and with Iraq still to pay for, your party wants another big tax cut. Never before have we had a big tax cut in times of national crisis. Lincoln didn't. FDR didn't. With over 200,000 young Americans in the Persian Gulf, we shouldn't. It's wrong. And it's bad economics.
Mr. President, two of the most dangerous words in the English language are either or. Just a week ago, critics were saying the United States could fight either Al-Qaeda or Saddam Hussein, but not both. Tell that to Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the terrorist we just captured. Mr. President, this is a different kind of war. This is global. A war to protect American lives and preserve the American way of life, which means, among other things, the freedom to save or invest our own money, instead of Washington taking it from us. Only in Washington is an investment when the government spends your money. And for President Bush to practice the economics of either or would not only invite political attack from your friends who want his job, it would risk winning a battle and losing the war.
We're approaching a $400 billion deficit, and you're the one saying either or. Either victory in Iraq and tax cuts, or homeland security, education, keeping Social Security and Medicare strong. Leadership is about choosing. So, let's give up our tax cut.
With all due respect, Mr. President, much of our current problem can be traced to the economic hangover of the 90s. The Bush tax cut has barely kicked in. But I'll tell you what, I'll gladly donate my tax cut to a worthy charity, if you will. Maybe even to the Clinton Library.
Wow. Was that scintillating or what? How was that exciting television? Good God.
You're going to save that tape for me, right, so I can watch it as well?
I'm going to save it for the Hall of Shame. I'm saving it for posterity. If you'll notice, there was like a little click in it at one point. Did you notice that?
No.
Well, that's because I came to because I thought it was done. I thought, and then they come back for another 15 seconds apiece. 15 seconds! Oh! Wow. First of all, they're not even like side by each. They're not even in the same room.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the idea that there's any debate going on. Secondly, what the hell is anybody going to say in 45 seconds, then do a rebuttal in 15 seconds? Leave it to 60 minutes. Otherwise, such a great show. Although I was frosted at the mouth about that thing they did on doctors. You didn't see the show at all?
Last night I saw the thing on Gutter, and then I don't know, something.
Gutter was great. That was terrific. Now, there's the model. That's the role model we should set up for all of our good friends over there. We should, force it on them, like we try to do in Iraq.
Right, we converted them by force, right?
And then they had this piece on doctors, the poor doctors and the lawsuits and all this other crap. And, of course, the experiences I've had with doctors all my life, I have no sympathy for doctors whatsoever. I mean, when you're really sick and, you need a good one if you can find one, but good luck to you, especially in South Florida. Doctors, generally speaking, suck. So whatever evil, whatever happens to most of them, they deserve it. They brought it on themselves by butchering people, by making grotesque mistakes, and by also not calling in prescriptions when they're supposed to be doing it.
Yeah.
I just mentioned that in case anybody at Cleveland Clinic's listening. God, do they frost my ass. I mean, if they're not going to do something for you, tell me you're not going to do it. Don't give me a sign that, okay, it's all taken care of, and then don't call it in. Just leave me hanging here. You idiots, you assholes. God. Don't ever, even if you have like a parakeet, a cockatoo, don't ever take it to the Cleveland Clinic, okay? I just mentioned that in passing.
All right.
This is my message for...
You asshole!
He knows who I'm talking at. God. Anyway. So on the poll, let's see, Halle Berry 84, Ashley Judd 49, Elizabeth Hurley 49, Barbara Eden had 46. Remember the one guy that called that time we were talking about Barbara Eden for whatever reason?
I'll never, ever forget it.
And he said, oh, Neil, you're way off base. No heterosexual male would ever consider her sexy. And I thought to myself, I mean, what are you talking about? Well, that was the whole draw of that show, is the fact that she was with her navel. Were they going to let the navel hang out or not?
Right. The guy that said that obviously was not a heterosexual.
He was some kind of a fag, is what he
question.
was. Liz Taylor, 43. Catherine Zeta-Jones, 41, followed by Bo Derek, Alyssa Milano. Bridget Bardot had 37. Heather Locklear, 36. Denise Richards, your choice, 35. You beat me out. I had Jordana Brewster at 29.
Yeah, but I wanted to change my vote anyway.
Huh?
I wanted to change my vote after some of those names came in.
To Renee Richards? Charlize Theron, 35. Jennifer Connelly, 34, along with Natalie Wood and Sofia Vergara, 34. Michelle Pfeiffer, 33. Audrey Hepburn, 32. Last night, guess what movie was on? And
Speaking of Audrey Hepburn?
Huh?
Speaking of Audrey Hepburn?
Yes.
I don't know the one where she's the one where she's a blind lady.
No. Audrey Hepburn with William Holden. And who else is in that? Charade.
Oh, never saw it.
And I'll say this, she had a beautiful face, but she must have weighed about 85 pounds soaking wet, Audrey Hepburn.
Like a bird lady.
Yeah. How could she be the most beautiful actress ever? I mean, and then we had all these several calls about that, too, about Audrey Hepburn. I don't know why. Nice face. No body. Not a bad body, just no body. In fact, maybe she would just be a good head. She's dead. Jackie Johnson, 30, Jordana Brewster, 29. That pisses me off, okay? See, that's the local element, and they don't have any idea who Jordana Brewster is.
Nope.
Too bad. You're lost, not mine. You're lost. All you heteros out there, all those of you who claim to be hetero, like that guy who talked about Barbara Eden, bad. Screw you, pal. Angelina Jolie, 25, Vanessa Williams, 22, Linda Carter, 21, and Margaret, 19, Brooke Burke, 18. Oh, this list goes on too long, too many. Kristen Krukot, 16, tied with Jennifer Lopez. What a joke that is. If they could just put Jennifer Lopez's ass on Kristen Kruk's body, she'd have trouble walking. Pamela Anderson at 13, George. How do you like that?
Please. They can have her. All 13 of them.
She was tied with Jacqueline Smith. And Ursula Andress had 14. Kim Novak had only 8. Isabella Rossellini had 7. See, I feel bad that I'm not reading all of these because their website's screwed up. But you know what? Tough crap. There's just too many. It's too ponderous. I don't want to... and I'm sure that a lot of our people in the audience loved that thing with Clinton-Dole last night. If they did, we're going to come to your house and arrest you under the USA Patriot Act immediately, if not sooner. Under the Mentally Deficient Act. What a piece of garbage. And as usual, like I said, they hype it. No, it's going to be really great. And, and of course they're questioning should an ex-president do that. Well, I don't have any problem with Bubba doing stuff like that or anybody else. It's a different era. But at least if you're going to do something, do it where you can actually get on there and say something. Hasn't he already been? He was on with King. He was on with Paula. He's been on with everybody and their brother. Bubba Meister, right?
Yeah.
And as far as Dole is concerned, what is he going to be on that's going to be exciting at all unless he starts punching him with his gimpy hand? Unless they get into a fist fight.
I'd watch that.
And the problem is that's not going to happen because they like each other. That's never going to happen. They're good buddies.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, contrived crap. Very sad. Very disappointing, CBS, on an otherwise great show. I'm watching that first segment on Qatar, which you notice now they're not calling it gutter anymore.
Right. Qatar or Qatar.
Yeah, I'm watching that, and I'm thinking, boy, this show is so great, and here's a show that actually is really good, and they put worthwhile crap on there most of the time, and it gets big ratings, and, it's the rare exception. And then they come up with a piece of contrived crap like that. Shame on you, Don Hewitt. He ain't no Foster Hewitt, I'll tell you that. 9:13 at 560 WQAM. You're still reluctant about ordering a bed over the phone. I have no idea what you're waiting for. It's the only smart thing you might do in this category. Over 1 million people have bought a mattress over the phone from Dollar Mattress. I've done it. George has done it. Miguel has done it. Hundreds more are doing it every week. We talk about Dollar Mattress every day, and nothing's got a bigger impact on your life every day than getting a great night's sleep. So call 1-800-MATTRESS, 1-800-MATTRES right now, and you'll have a sensational night's sleep from Dollar Mattress. They carry the best mattresses in the universe. They got them all. Sealy, Serta, Simmons, King Coil, every size, every style. Dollar Mattress is ranked #1 in customer satisfaction. They've got more repeat and referral customers than anybody else because they know how to treat their customers right. Once you buy a mattress from Dollar Mattress, you'll never go back to a showroom again and get ripped off. And don't forget, when you buy a mattress from Dollar Mattress, they take away the crappy old bedding and set up your new one for free. That's correct. Dollar Mattress sets up the new and takes away the old, crappy, smelly bedding for free. So make the call right now to Dollar Mattress and enjoy a great night's sleep tonight and for weeks and months and years to come. 1-800-MATTRES for Dollar Mattress, the easiest possible way to buy you a great new name-brand mattress at an unbeatable price.
Live and local. This is Sports Radio 560. QAM.
Pushes the starting button up. 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 Cheney said lay off the ventilators. He brought investigations to an end. They were getting too close to the towel-headed bodies down in Texas for a barbecue again. With George and Pop. Pushes the starting button up. 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 If they don't impeach this corporate retard, 3,000 lives will never be avenged. Cause you brainwashed bookies are so goddamn stupid, you'll put them back in office again. What the f***? Pushes the starting button up. 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 Members of the ARP. Pushes the starting button up. 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 That's a horse, the Foundation of Goyim.
919 at 560 WQAM. So our website screwed up. We apologize profusely, but we won't be putting a new poll up on there today, which will give you a chance to vote for Marilyn Monroe 200-300 more times.
All right.
We'll just leave it up there till tomorrow, and then we'll work on a new one. So today is going to be see, I was saying to George before the show today, a couple of weeks ago we took a poll about things that people want to hear on the show, and coming in dead last, I mean, with almost no votes, was polls with a lot of choices, I'm putting together a poll. And we've been doing that for several days in a row because, quite frankly, that's the only thing we get a response to on this show. Mm-hmm. When it requires just a name. How about Ava Gardner? What is it? She was really beautiful. And that's the limits of our audience. And so, it's easy. Like that bitch says, it's a cop-out. It's a real easy. It's a piece of cake. The listening audience hates it like poison, but the people that diddle on our poll and the people that call in and say those things, they love it, right?
Yeah.
So it's easy. We don't give a crap. Van Briesburg to resign over racial slur, the Beezer. See, what makes this story even worse, and I didn't hear too much of this morning's show for obvious reasons, but the reason that they missed the big point is that it wouldn't have been nearly as bad. It would still have been bad, except for the fact that here's a guy who became a religious nut. When he first came to the Panthers, he wasn't one of those. But then as time wore on, he became kind of like Gary Carterish, always peddling the fact that he was, in fact, I don't even think he peddled it as much as Gary Carter. Oh, sorry, Rimmer. That's right, he's in New York anyway, can't hear it. John Van Briesburg will now let me ask you, so the fact that our website is down means that all those 5 or 10 people that we have who listen around the country can't hear us today? Right?
I don't know.
What do you think, Carlos?
He doesn't know either.
What do you think, Carlos?
He doesn't know.
I don't know either.
Well, why can't he say that? Why are we doing
He was clean across the room putting the stories in.
And answering the
Get
phone.
out of here. He was cleaning the room. Is that what you just said? He was cleaning the room? He was cleaning the kitchen?
I wish.
Yeah, I bet he was.
Then somebody might.
Mm-hmm.
Rectum.
Anyway, John Van Briesburg will resign as Director of Hockey Operations and coach of the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. After acknowledging last night he referred to the Ontario Hockey League team's black captain Trevor Daley as a nigger on Friday night. This is in the Toronto Sun today. I used the N-word instead of using Trevor, Van Briesburg told the Sioux Star after coaching the Hounds to a 5-3 win against the Windsor Spitfires last night. I used it and I just wasn't thinking. I don't know where it comes from. I have no answer for that. It was stupid. I plan on resigning as early as today. It's the only thing to do. I don't want to embarrass anybody anymore. Evidently he used the word repeatedly, over and over again.
Yeah.
Daley left the club on Saturday and went to his home in Toronto after being informed of Van Briesburg's slur by teammates. Van Briesburg, a born-again Christian, used the slur in referring to Daley during meetings with other players on Friday night after the team lost 6-1 to the Guelph Storm. In other words, behind his back. Earlier, this is our good born-again Christian, John Van Briesburg, which I heard so much this morning about, he's such a good guy, yada, yada, yada. Earlier yesterday, Van Briesburg was quoted on the team's website as saying he snapped, but there was no mention of resignation yesterday, but now he says, bye-bye. Van Briesburg's resignation will not lead to an automatic return to the team by Daley. Van Briesburg owns 25% of the club and is unsure of what his future holds in that respect. It's something we have to discuss. Darren Ferris, an agent of Daley's who works for the Orr Hockey Group, said a return is one option for Trevor. Bobby Orr is his agent, by the way. OHL Commissioner David Brandt said last night he had received a phone call from Van Briesburg, was informed of the latter's intention to resign. The situation still warrants a look by the league at all the details and the facts, said Branch, who's scheduled to meet with Daley today. How do you like that? Beezer! Born-again Christian, Beezer. No wonder certain people I know didn't like him at all. I mean, he was always, I talked to him a couple of times. He was always very nice to me, very cordial. Seemed like kind of a low-key guy.
He called the show before.
Did he really?
Years ago, when you used to do those hockey shows, remember?
The geezer called the show? You mean like voluntarily?
Yeah.
How do you like that? But, let me say it again, born-again Christian, using the N-word behind this guy's back. That makes it, again, compound all three of those things. He's having a meeting with the rest of the team, and, well, that nigger did this, and yada, yada. It's just unacceptable, Bees.
That's okay. It's acceptable according to the Bible.
Is that what it says?
Sure, slavery.
No, he didn't call him a slave. He
all
used
that racism.
The N-word.
Well,
No. Sorry.
By the way, a little info.
Yes, a little bit of info from our computer wizard Carlos, who says,
by the way, the people that can't get on the Neil Rogers, some people can, some people won't be able to.
Most
the
can't.
ones that can't will be able to listen on WQAM.com.
oh, how do you like that? Well, how are they going to know that?
I know.
What a moron, man. You've been hanging around with Eric too long, I think, is your problem. What an idiot. You know what that would be like? It would be like if the transmitter went off and you said,
So
if
we made
you
an
can't hear
announcement.
us now, keep listening because we'll be back on later as soon as the transmitter What?
We'll be temporarily rebroadcasting on 790.
Oh, my God.
Maybe they're listening now and it'll go away later.
So those of you who can't hear me right now, go to WQN.com and you can hear the audio. Oh. Well, no, that is a good idea because there are people in the local area who get lousy radio reception inside and do listen on the Internet. You aware of that?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just telling you right now. So like I said, it was a very astute comment by Little Beaner Boy.
Thank you.
567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Let's see these phones light up like a Hanukkah bush today, baby. You watch. We're putting them to the test on a Monday, no less, right?
Sure, why not?
What are you saying? Sure, on a Monday, which is impossible for them, but they have to come through for us today because the website is screwed up. We're not going to be sitting here doing one of those stupid polls today where people call it and say, Ava Gardner. And why not picking on Ava Gardner? Didn't she have enough tourists being married to Frank Sinatra?
Right.
And they're both dead anyway. Here's our only call. It's from Parkland. Hello.
Hey, Neil, how you doing?
Okay, sir.
I wanted to tell you how I watched the 60 Minutes show last night also.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to comment about how this retarded ape that we have in the White House could solve this so-called malpractice-insurance crisis that we're having.
Yeah.
It would take them about 5 minutes. All they have to do is institute the English form of justice, where if you sue a doctor, for example, and you lose, you pay the doctor's legal fees. Because what causes most of these so-called frivolous lawsuits to be filed is that the people filing them, they have nothing to lose.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to court and you find a jury that's stupid enough to buy your argument, you're in line for, as they said last night on the broadcast, an average of $4 million verdict. And if you lose, well, it hasn't cost you anything because your lawyer's taking it on a contingency fee. The lawyer's risking maybe 20 grand's worth of expenses versus a fee of $1.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
So it's worth rolling the dice.
Yeah.
But in the English system, if I sue you and I lose, I have to pay your legal expenses.
Sure, I like it.
So that would be a lot easier than saying somebody who has taken their child, for example, to a doctor and brought a healthy child into his office and taken a child out of that office that will require millions and millions and millions of dollars of lifetime medical care because some idiot doctor was drunk or something and screwed the kid up, should only get a maximum of $250,000. That is so unfair.
It's not acceptable. It's outrageous.
And unfortunately, the reason why this logical system will not ever work is because this idiot in the White House, there's no way for him to get any campaign contributions from it. If there was somebody he could sell out to, then maybe it might appeal to him.
Amen. Okay,
Have
thanks.
a good one.
Thanks. Makes too much sense. Don't anybody defend doctors to me, man, because as far as I'm concerned, 95% of them are charlatans and be very suspicious of the rest of them. That's all I can tell you. Just a schlock. It's become real schlock, man. 927 at 560 WQM. Do you have $2,000 or more on a credit card? If so, listen. Debit-cated consumer counseling will help you, and it'll cost you nothing. That's right. It'll cost you absolutely nothing. Debit-cated is a non-profit company that'll contact the companies you owe money to, and they'll cut your payments in half. Call 1-800-4-NO-DEBT. That's 1-800, the number 4, and the letters NODEBT. 1-800-4-NO-DEBT. Debit-cated will help you cut your interest rate, eliminate late fees, and save your credit. It'll cost you nothing. The bank pays debit-cated. You pay nothing. So if you're tired of battling credit card debt, call Debit-cated at 1-800-4-NO-DEBT. Call and find out how Debit-cated can help you. You got nothing to lose. If you've had it with credit card debt, high interest rates, and late fees, call Debit-cated Consumer Counseling, and they'll handle it from there. Call right now, 1-800-4-NO-DEBT. Remember, it costs you nothing.
Live and local. This is 560. The radio's all yours now. QAM.
Fudge packing?
New this fall on Fox. It's a late-night talk show unlike any other you've ever seen. The King of Pop snuggles into his king-size bed with warm milk and cookies and interviews some of Hollywood's hottest young celebrities.
Hello, this is Michael Jackson in bed with an Oscar nominee who is currently starring as the voice of Mowgli in Disney's new animated adventure, The Jungle Book 2. Please welcome my special guest in my bed, Haley Joel Osment.
Do we have to do this in your bed?
It's in a innocent. It's very charming. I let my children sleep with Barry Gibb. Who? So tell me, Haley Joe Osment, how is it working with lovable Bear Baloo?
Well, he's not real, Michael. He's a cartoon voiced by John Goodman.
Haley, look what I could do with this. Oh!
You never know who's going to be sleeping in Michael's bed.
I'm here with my next guest snuggled up in my bed. It's a big TV star, the child who plays Sipowicz's son on NYPD Blue. Hello, child who plays Sipowicz's son on NYPD Blue.
Hi, Mike.
Would you like to play a game, child who plays Sipowicz's son on NYPD Blue?
Sure.
Put on this mask.
I don't want to.
I'm having so much fun. Me and my children play this game with Barry Gibb all the time. Put the mask on. Here, touch this one time.
So grab some warm milk and cookies and join Wacko Jacko for some late night TV like you've never seen before. It's Sleeping with Michael Jackson, weeknights on Fox.
I'll guarantee you get a lot bigger numbers than Bubba and Bob Dole with a bad hand. A lot bigger numbers, make no mistake about it. Million people, speaking of big numbers, on Little Havana for Coyote over the weekend.
Oh!
And I'm sure you guys were both there. No?
Yeah. Where?
Not.
You didn't see me dancing?
Come on.
On every channel?
But in the meantime, Mayor Manny Diaz of Miami is a little bit upset. Even though they had 1 million people there, I don't see about any deaths or anything like that. Did you see at Carnival in Rio?
Yeah.
And they announce these things like routinely, like it's supposed to be. Last year there were 59 people killed. This year 73.
Right.
Well, they were, then all the revelry and all the mayhem and gay whatever's going on in the streets there in Rio. 73 people dead. Didn't see anybody dead in Cayocho, but Mayor Manny Diaz has got a last-minute bid to cancel a Bayfront Park Festival scheduled for March 22nd. It's got him pitted against the promoters of the electronic music event, expected to draw tens of thousands of people. At a meeting scheduled for noon today, Diaz will ask Bayfront Park officials and event promoters to stop the 5th annual Ultra Electronic Music Festival. If they can't reach an agreement with Diaz by the end of today's meeting, lawyers for Ultra say they'll be forced to sue the city, especially since promoters have already spent more than $600,000 on the event and another $1 million in contracts that they've got. They've also sold thousands of tickets at $40 to $60 each and signed an agreement to produce live broadcasts at the event, promoters be saying. If the festival goes on as scheduled, promoters expect such artists as Underworld, Paul Oakenfold, Sasha, John Digweed, Paul Van Dyke, Hybrid, and Seb Fontaine. Remember them?
A couple of them.
The event is scheduled to begin 11 a.m. March 22nd and at 1 a.m. the next day. The problem comes just 2 weeks before the event. Diaz's office stated concerns about possible widespread drug use is the main reason to stop the event.
Oi!
Promoters said these concerns are unfounded. They said they only heard of the mayor's plan to cancel the event at a meeting Thursday at City Hall. An aide to Diaz, his press secretary Kelly Penton, said her boss's concerns arose from reports of rampant drug use at last year's event at Bayfront Park. The mayor said many of the music fans would be minors. But Ultra promoter Russell Fabish called the broadcast misleading, saying that less than 10% of the footage that they showed on TV came from video taken at last year's festival. How do you like that?
I don't.
Well, so long, we don't want to have any drugs going on there, God forbid.
Got a question for Manny Diaz.
And what's that?
Who the hell are you?
Yeah. And is his son still printing those counterfeit bills in school, do you think?
I think
5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. So typical, man. Can't do this and you can't do that, and even though it might bring a lot of people in.
Only in the Banana Republic, baby. Only in Miami.
You said it, man.
Asking Marino to hand the football off to a running back is kind of like asking a brain surgery to operate on hemorrhoids.
Where the hell did that come from?
That's old.
Here's West Palm Beach. Hello.
Hey, Neil.
Yes, sir.
How you doing today?
All right.
Listen, I missed your show at the end of last week, and I was just driving northbound on the turnpike just south of Griffin Road. There's a huge billboard with your handsome mug on there. It's a nice ad. I know you've been crying about them not putting one up, but this thing is a real world beater. That's one thing. The other thing, Grace Kelly. I didn't vote last week. I didn't even know who she was. I was probably 28 years old. Turned on a movie one night, and I said, that's the best looking chick I have ever seen in my life. And that was 20 years ago. I still feel that way. One last thing before I go, if you got time. The next time you're buying dinner for Rimmer, would you tell him that the hockey game is not a baseball game, and that if he wants to describe, the health problems of the skate sharpener for the Buffalo Sabres, to hold it to the breaks in the play?
Okay.
Okay?
I'll pass it along.
Thanks. Have a good day.
And I'll say hi to the Beezer for him, too. 567-0560, pound 560. See, you're always knocking Rimmer, but he doesn't like the Beezer. He on a personal level.
So?
See, it's safe for me to say that today because, number one, they're in New York for the Ranger game tonight anyway. Number two, it's a good day to be saying you don't like the Beezer. I'm not going to lie and say that I don't like him because although I will admit that he was on a plane when I came up here and I never spoke to him. He was back with the peons back in Coach with his whole family.
Yeah.
And I saw him when he came on a plane. I'm sitting there minding my own business, and he didn't look at me, and I just, and it's not like I feel like he's a friend or somebody that I would speak to, like a Ray Whitney or like a Paul Laws or somebody. You don't know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'll tell you this
much. It was
much.
the Beezer. There you go. He just, and then, of course, that born-again thing is such a turn-off to me anyway.
Yeah.
And almost invariably, it turns out that people will go out of the... See, I don't mind. Believe whatever you want. You know that's the way I feel. Believe whatever crap you want. I have no problem with that. But don't make a big song and dance about it, because then when something like this comes up, it goes to show you that you're no holier than anybody else. You're just another guy, that's all, with a big mouth.
I'll bet you, though. He doesn't go around promising meals to people and then not delivering.
Well, you never know about that.
You never do know, but I do know about some people.
567-0560. Well, maybe he can't eat free at the pizza loft. Maybe that's part of his problem.
Uh-huh.
Although I bet you he probably could.
He could.
Not today. Here's a call from Davey. Hello.
Neil.
Yes, sir.
Ultra right-wing fanatic fan here.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Okay.
I want to respond to the guy who was talking about the tort reform. We've proposed loser pays, as he calls it, many times, but the trial lawyers and therefore the DNC have said they'll shoot that down a million times.
Mm-hmm.
It's a non-starter with them.
Great.
We've got to move to the next course of business. Now, everybody would love loser pays, but it's just not going to happen. So where do you go from there?
I say maybe we go from there to having like good doctors would be a good idea.
Well, that's a start.
Yeah.
By the way, an old friend says hi from the Marlins games many years ago. Eddie was doing the hokey pokey.
I have no idea who that is.
It was the guy on the field back a long time ago, Eddie, that was doing the hokey pokey, and you pointed him out. We're a little infatuated with him.
Oh, Eddie from yeah, one of the male cheerleading guys, right?
There you go.
Give him a big kiss for me.
I shall do that.
Okay, I bet you will. Okay, thank you. Being the right winger that he is, he'll probably give him a big kiss on his cheek. I guess he's not going to be too happy with me, that caller that was just on it. I'm going to read a few pages from Michael Moore's book, Stupid White Men, and obviously well justified in doing so because we don't have a single call on the board. No calls about the Beezer using the N-word and having to resign from his minor league hockey coaching gig. No calls about Mayor Diaz canceling this thing. No calls about anything. And it's typical. It's par for the course because our audience just won't play that game. You know what? I'm thinking that we shouldn't do any more of those polls. I'm serious. I mean, we put the poll up on the, we usually do, but we'll just make our own choices.
Okay.
As opposed to letting these people off the hook. It's a disgrace. It's an embarrassment. Has anybody called about the Dole Clinton thing on 60 Minutes last night?
No.
Anybody liked it? Who didn't like it? Who agreed with me that it was an embarrassment and a waste of time? Nothing. Nobody in this audience has got an opinion about anything. I think we're going to start doing a goddamn sports show is what I think. That's the only hope we got on this show. We're cursed anyway. We're doomed thanks to Greg Reed. And by the way, since I'm talking about Greg Reed, and far be it for me to defend Mo, because that's the last thing. I'd be the last person in the world to do that. And I noticed again this morning, lashing out. Listen, Mo, the fact that we keep outing your aberrant behavior on the air, this is what bothers him. He thinks he can keep browbeating all the little people behind the scenes and trying to get this one fired and that one fired and having a big song to dance with Doreen there on Friday over at Durrell. And what bothers him is that he just can't get away with it. Without certain people like me pointing the spotlight on and saying, see, look what we're dealing with here. Look what kind of an asshole we're dealing with here. Somebody who's incapable of working and functioning in a setting of other people. But, that having been said, the fact that Greg Reed continues to use Barry Jackass as his programming mouthpiece, I talked about this back when he did it to the first team. It was unacceptable then, it's unacceptable now. It's unbelievable. If you don't like what you got on there, change it. Or go to the guy and tell him to his face. Don't keep ripping everybody an ass in the media, and that's what he does. That's what he's always does. Has he ever had anything good to say about any of us in print, in the media? In Barry Jackass?
Huh? I'm thinking.
Well, put your thinking cap on. And let's hear the time that Greg Reed ever went to the news media and said, boy, I'll tell you, we sure have made a lot of money on those big Neil Rogers numbers. Or Hank Goldberg, sure, you know, he's like Mr. Sports in America. And anything at all. Nothing. It's always a knock, it's always a rip, and it's always through his little mouthpiece, Barry Jackass. I wouldn't be surprised if the two of them are like sharing a bologna sandwich together. Out of the same brown sack that Barry's mommy packed for him in the morning as she drove him to work at the Herald. 9:41. You know something? What a segue. Isn't it amazing how I fall into these things?
Yeah.
Barry's got his little brown sack, and you should have your little black sack. Balance for life coming up right now. What an unbelievable falling into a pile of... Speaking of a pile of crap, the Beast has lost over 50 pounds now. He came in and finally and weighed in on Friday. What was it, 229?
229.
He's lost 55 pounds. I guaranteed, because the low that he ever was before was 228. We got him down to at one point before he went off the wagon. I guarantee when he comes in this Friday to weigh in, he'll be at his all-time low, approaching 60 pounds lost on Balance for Life. And you ought to be doing the same thing, too, instead of those fad diets, those quackeries, those dangerous pills, like ephedra, for example, which can kill you. With Balance for Life, they do all the work for you. Based on the Zone diet, they figure it all out. So there's no cooking, no shopping, no cleaning, no worries, just great results. Nothing to count, no calories, no carbohydrates to count. The only choice you make is between two alternatives for each meal every day that you're on the program. They give you a little menu, and you pick for each meal, and that's it. And they bring you a little black sack with 3 gourmet meals and 2 delicious snacks right to your doorstep by 6 o'clock in the morning, to your home, your work, wherever you want. And in there's all the food you need for the entire day. And the weight will pour off your body, and it's all fresh and delicious, too. Nothing frozen, no chemicals, no additives, no prefabricated crap. So let Balance for Life once and for all help you lose that weight that'll not only make you look better, but a lot healthier, too. Call 954-568-3229. 954-568-3229, or check out their website at balanceforlife.com.
We're Sports Radio 560 QAM.
I'll bang you in the butt, honey.
In light of France's blatant disregard for all things American, this radio station invites you to join us in the boycott of the following people, places, and things. French fries, French's mustard, French poodles, French toast, Mr. French, French kissing, not mandatory, French knots, Frenchie from Greece, chicken francaise, chicken cordon bleu, French dressing, Peugeot, Bouvier's, Grey Poupon, ballet, Madeline videos, berets, croissants, champagne, Chanel, Catherine Deneuve, Gerard Depardieu, Jacques Cousteau, Gaston from Beauty and the Beast, Bustiers, lingerie, mousse, the dessert, not the animal, the French chef and his Bon Appetit, Joan of Arc, truffles, mimes, Marie Chevalier, the French Connection, Eiffel Tower stick pins, Jean-Paul Gaultier, Au Bon Pain, Jerry Lewis, Monet, Matinee, Mona Lisa, Charles de Gaulle, Kids in the Hall, Perrier Water, Madame Tussauds Wax Museum, Hairy Girl and Girl Porn, Torno Watches, Berlitz Language Immersion Programs, Jolene Facial Bleach Systems, L'Oreal, Clinique, Le Cirque, and Cirque du Soleil. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, did you notice on that spot, was that you on that Lifestyles Convention spot?
Yeah.
Now, Carlos, did you notice how good George sounded on that spot?
We were just talking about that. He sounded great, man.
I've
Tommy
never
does
heard
some
him
magic.
sound so good in the 100 years he's been doing this show. I was thinking to myself, if he sounded like that on the air, we could have a 40 share in the summertime.
Sorry. Once a year only.
Because you sounded nasal or something. I think if you, induced a big head cool all the time.
You know what it is? It's the microphone in Tommy's little room. I cut that spot in there on Tommy's equipment.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it sounded like nasal.
I'll try to talk more nasal.
No, I don't think the clothespin will do it, but it sounded like a different person, which of course is what most of the audience wants.
Took me a couple seconds to realize it was even him.
Exactly, and I thought, that's little George on there, sounding almost like he belongs on the air. Here's North Miami. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Neil, how you doing?
Okay.
Alrighty, no, I just calling about last week you had the thing on the most overrated places and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to respond to this jerk that called about San Diego.
Uh-huh.
I'd like to set the record straight.
Go right ahead. Take all the time you want.
San Diego is a paradise. The temperatures are perfect.
Paradise?
The women are beautiful.
Yeah.
It's like a big small town. It's kind of hard to describe.
I've heard it's loaded with seamen.
Who?
Seamen. Sailors.
Oh, there you go. Okay, well that's again, that's something I know too much about.
I'm just saying it's a big naval thing.
I'm sure it is. That's true. But I just want to say, compared to like L.A., which I used to live there too, I wish I were in San Diego right now. The other overrated thing I must say
is what?
You should have that on there.
I didn't hear what you said. You cut out. What is it?
I'm sorry. Marriage is overrated.
Oh.
You see people running around getting married all the time. What are you thinking, you idiots, you?
Right, you idiots is right.
Oh, my God. Oh, well, whatever. Neil, we love you. Keep it up. Talk to you later.
Okay,
Bye.
see you in San Diego. Okay, and this business about gay marriages, I don't see. It's one thing to have the equal rights and all of that other crap, and but as far as why would anybody want to get married in the first place?
Exactly.
George?
I've been saying that for years.
Dow is down 69. I'm not making up that number, and the Nasdaq is down 9 right at the moment for that guy that wanted me to give the numbers out. I don't want to get you too depressed, especially when I read that few pages. Michael Moore's Stupid White Man, which I'm very late getting around to reading that, and it's a little bit outdated because it was written right before 9/11. But it's just so perfect. Now, I got sucked in, I'll admit that. Here's the facts before I get to that one. It says today is the 3rd anniversary of the top of the stock market. Happy anniversary, NASDAQ is what it says. Yeah, the NASDAQ was 5,100, now it's 1,300. Got it?
Got it.
Which means it lost 38 points. You do the math. Here's one of our regular faxers in West Palm who says, and he's right, regarding your poll over the weekend, I assume Britney Spears was not on there due to the fact not being a movie star actress. But why? And this is right, and I let myself get sucked. I got sucked right in. Why in the hell was Jackie Johnson on there, a babe that reads on TV? She's a weather broad. She's not an actress.
Yeah, some of us said as much.
What?
We had a big thing, and you shut me down and told me I was an idiot because I kept making that point.
Not on Jackie Johnson.
Other people. You said actress in the question, and then you decided that if they're on TV, that's good enough.
No, it was not. No, it was, no. In fact, we even took off what's her name, the VJ.
We did. What
yeah.
VJ?
Who?
What VJ?
What the hell's her name?
I don't know. We left. Didn't we have what's her name on there?
I remember we took somebody off. I can't
Daisy
remember who it was.
Fuentes.
Daisy Fuentes. There it is.
Yes,
we took her off of there for that very same reason, because she's not an actress. So we apologize for putting Jackie Johnson on her. She gets enough free publicity anyway, okay? She's got some freaking nerve invading our poll of beautiful actresses. It says, this weekend I tuned into QAM and heard Josh Friedman, and he actually wasn't that bad. I'd like to hear him in the morning with Mo. Oh, he'd like to hear him in the morning with Mo. He sounds like he may stand up for himself. Yeah, he'd stand up for himself once on that show. Again, this was the first time I heard Josh on his own show. How do you think he'd do with Mo and Geldy? Plus, it says P.S. 12 days to war. Another amateur program director out there. I'm not making any comments about that morning show. It speaks for itself, okay? And then the idea that this guy's talking about, well, certain people, what does he call them?
What does he call them?
The backstabbing, he's got some word that he uses. And, the rodents, the whatever the hell we are, everybody else. See, I hate to break the news to you, Mo, but it's you against the world at QAM. Because everybody in the building hates you like poison. You can try to pretend it's me and George, it's me and a couple of other people. It's everybody despises you like poison. So you can come on and put on your big, friendly, Mr. Hotshot, play-by-play guy. You can put that phony baloney on for everybody in the world, and you're not fooling too many people, okay? You're certainly not fooling anybody inside the building. And any crap that you get from any of us, believe you me, I'm the one guy in the station that's got the balls to say you brought it on yourself by your own behavior and your own obnoxious, arrogant attitude, okay?
I
You did it. Yeah, you done it. Here's an article somebody faxes. It says, what is Florida doing to reduce medical errors? Inadequate doctor discipline by state medical boards. It says since the stats started in September 1990, 5.1% of the doctors in the U.S. account for 54.2% of the number of malpractice payouts. You following that?
No.
5.1% of the doctors in the U.S. account for 54.2% of the number of malpractice payouts. Only 7.6%, 1 out of 13 of those doctors who've had 2 or more malpractice payouts against them have been disciplined in the last 12 years. So if they clean up their own house, if they get rid of the butchers in their own backyard, then, and it's the same with the lawyers, are the same. But nobody wants to do that. It's like a fraternity. Nobody wants to say Dr. Schmendrick over there, he killed 15 people this month, and he's a danger, and he's on drugs, and he's like psychotic and booze and whatever. Nobody wants to do that. So that's what you get. Speaking of Britney, by the way, we better take a call or two, don't we?
Yeah, if you want.
I have this Britney and Fred Durst story, which makes me even sicker than the one about Justin Tinkerbell. Here's Lake Worth. Hello.
Hey, Neil. Good morning.
Yes, sir.
John Lake Worth. Hey, I saw the Dole and Clinton.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was was so over-scripted. It didn't even seem real. I mean, the fact that they weren't even sitting in the same room together, it didn't have any impact at all.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I did get out of it is, in looking at Clinton, I just kept saying to myself over and over, man, do I miss this guy?
Well, I mean, we can sit here and say that all day, John.
Yeah,
well, what's the point of that? The fact of the matter is, here he was on a worldwide TV on CBS last night. The whole thing was like limp as a wet noodle, man. It was pathetic.
It was, but I think they are going to have their own show together, correct?
Who said that?
I believe that it's going to be a regular show, Clinton-Dole, and then one week they're going to call it Clinton-Dole, and the next week
it's not going to be it's not going to be a show. It's going to what you see is what you get. It's going to be on. There are going to be 10 of those. It's not a show. It's
so
just a
it's going to
segment.
be on the tail end of 60 Minutes.
It's going to be in the middle at 7:30 or whenever, like they did last night in the middle of the show. It's a 60 seconds a piece. It's a 2-minute deal.
Okay, and on this Van Beesbrook thing, like you said, these religious people, I mean, they're just hypocrites, okay? Because anybody that's a believer in the Lord and all this other jazz, I mean, they don't come out and they don't say things like that. And so,
They don't? The hell they don't.
No, I'm saying they're not supposed to come out. Forgive me, they're not supposed to come out and say things like that. And that's just another one of the hypocrisies with these people that are just these Bible
Okay, John, have a great day. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. I mean, it just wears me out. Well, great. A lot of us wish that he were still in there, and I'm one of those people. But how long can you keep saying that, And he had his 60 seconds of stardom there last night, he and one-handed Bob, and it was limp. It went over like a goddamn pregnant pole vaulter in the middle of Hades, man. It sucked. It blew. What's anybody, see, and this is TV again with the sound bites, and the bottom line is it does bite. It's garbage. This is from the Globe, so it might be true. Oops, she did it. It says Britney Spears should be red-faced over what rocker Fred Durst is singing. He claims in a new song that they went all the way. Limp Bizkit frontman Durst says the pop princess, who repeatedly insists she's a virgin and even denies knowing him, is definitely not a sweet, innocent girl. All right. In a new tune for his upcoming album Bipolar, Fred wails, "Ain't it Britney, scared to admit it, very first night made the limp dog hit it." The 31-year-old tattooed Durst says he wasn't going to kiss and tell, but he had to set the record straight for his fans after she began denying they had a relationship, saying, "I don't know him." Durst says their romance heated up after he agreed to do several songs with the 21-year-old beauty. Following a 2-day recording session in an L.A. studio, he wrote her a note saying, "I think you're cool, I think you're really sweet." He claims she returned to the studio with her cousins at 3 a.m., dressed in a see-through shirt and jeans, and told him, "I want you to come out and hang out with me." "We all went back to her house in the hills," he told radio shock jock Howard Stern. "She covers up a lot of things. She's definitely not the sweet little innocent." But Britney's rep tells Globe they didn't do it and accuses the rock star of making similar claims after he once performed with Christina Aguilera. Well, and by the way, have you seen Christina Aguilera's new video?
Which one? The one with the ugly people in it?
The one with all the fags in it. All the guys kissing and all the,
Then no.
Wow, what is that all about?
Faggery.
Well, I know what it's all about.
Yeah.
Once again, Fred's playing kiss and tell, the rep says, only Fred's doing a lot more telling than he ever did kissing. Meanwhile, Durst rhymes with Wurst, insists he's only speaking out now because Britney's denial of their relationship embarrassed him. "I had to defend myself," he says. "She should have said he's cool, he's not really my type, but that's all I want to say." Well, if he's not her type, then how come she screwed him? Alleged. Right. Huh? I got news for you, Brittany. She needs to get some goddamn Magnavision reading glasses or some kind of goddamn visual aids, this bitch. What the hell is wrong with her? Justin Tinkerbell and the obnoxious, the unctuous Fred Durst? Oh, my God, if she can't do better than that. See, I was thinking of a really interesting poll question for one of these days coming up, but certainly not today. Look at that phone. Is that exciting or what? Huh?
Well, you're going to get to those bedtime stories, or at least that book.
Oh, look, this is pathetic. This is typical of what this show has become. Unless they're going to call and say one or two words on a poll, they can't call in, and they say that they hate that. But anyway, my poll, like, well, if you could be one person in the world, who would it be? And I'm thinking I'd like to be Britney Spears. You following my logic there?
I understand your logic perfectly.
Man.
Yes, I do.
And I guarantee you, I wouldn't have Fred Durst or Justin Tinkerbell standing on line at my door. I'll guarantee you that. 9:58 at 560 WQM. Hey, homeowners out there, is there anything worse than venturing out in the backyard for a nice swim, looking into that once beautiful pool of yours and saying, "Holy crap, what happened here? It's stained, it's dirty, it might be cracking." Well, you don't have to look at that mess anymore. Just say, "No mo ugly pool," and call our friends at Atlantic Marsite. These guys aren't pool guys who run a cleaning service. They're a real construction company, uses full-time employees, not subcontractors, not a couple of illegal aliens out of the back of a pickup truck. Atlantic Marcite specializes in the most incredible innovation at the pool business, Diamond Bright. Atlantic Marcite's been pouring it on for 12 years. They're licensed and insured professionals. They even train other companies internationally on how to do diamond brighting. And you'll get the same price that they give the contractors. They serve North Miami, Broward, and Palm Beach, so call Atlantic Marcite. They're the largest installers of Diamond Bright in South Florida. They'll come right to you and give you a free estimate. They also do pool and deck renovations, custom lighting, pool heating, and exotic water features, too. For the best in the universe, call Atlantic Marcite toll-free 1-800-558-8883. That's 1-800-558-8883. Diamond Bright, do it right, cause Diamond Bright be a pool's best friend.
Live and local. This is Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Get back, Alex Bennett, for gosh sake. Do yourself a favor, will ya, pal? Oh!
In the shocking season finale, Evan Marriott, a.k.a. Joe Millionaire, made his final decision and selected Zora to be his beloved. Then, the twist. The butler, Paul Hogan, presented the couple with a check for $1 million. But that's not the end of it. There's another twist, not revealed on national television. The $1 million given to the couple actually belonged to a Colombian drug cartel, and they want it back.
Chico, yes, where's my $1 million? That rich kid has it.
What rich kid?
The Joe Millionaire.
Who?
Joe Millionaire.
He steals from me?
Yes.
From me?
Yes.
From me?
Yes.
Are you kidding me?
No.
I want that money back, Chico.
How am I gonna get it back?
Cut his throat, Chico.
The whole throat?
And nothing but the throat.
So help me God?
Evan and Zora are running for their lives, but that's not the end of it. There's another twist. The money that Fox stole from the Colombian drug cartel was apparently stolen originally from a Jamaican crime syndicate, and they want it back. Give us the money, man.
The Joe Millionaire got it, man. Wait a minute, man. We gave it to the Colombian drug cartel as a loan, man. Get it back from them. The Millionaire kid got it. From the TV show. Yeah. What's the kid doing with my $1 million, you bumper clod, man? Well, he fell in love with Zora, so they get the $1 million. Tell me about that, man. I've got to get the money back, man. I've got weed to make. Okay. Cut his throat, man. The whole throat? And nothing but the throat. So help me God.
But wait, there's another twist. Evan and Zora are really brother and sister. But not just any brother and sister. What a twist!
We're the Osmonds. I'm a little bit
Joe Millionaire, Dead or Alive, on Fox.
It is my favorite. I love it. 10:03 at 560 WQM. Happy Monday to you. Got a couple of calls on here. Not too much. Don't want to overdo it here, do we?
No.
And again, our website's all screwed up today, so we got to go back to this. Here's Pompano. Hello.
Thank you for not doing a poll.
Oh, God. Here's Boca. Hello.
Good morning, Neil.
Yes, sir.
Someone said something about Josh Friedman, and I hear him on the radio.
Your phone is marginal.
What happened to the crow? Make it short. What happened to the crow?
What do you mean what happened to him?
I used to sit in the office and have a copy.
Get a phone that works and I'll be able to talk to you, okay? Crow.
I like that one.
Yeah. What does the crow have to do with anything? First of all, we don't have, now that Hank is on 3 to 7, we don't have the ability to have somebody on between 6 and 6:30. In addition to which, he doesn't belong on here anyway. And anybody with 2 ears or even 1 ear working even Rush when he was deaf could tell you that. But nevertheless, if you like the crow, we'll give you his home number. You can do a little, back and forth. That's it. That's our calls for the day. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Here's a fax from Gillen Homestead, who's become really chronic, but has a good point. He says, Mr. Diaz hasn't been to Cayo Ocho lately. Many young thugs. Now, why has he got to say thugs? Many young punks smoke dope, sell dope, and touch women right in front of Miami's finest, but yet he won't dare to try to cancel Cayo Ocho, but he's trying to cancel the concert at the end of the month over drug use. Drugs are part of the banana republic. Live with it or move, says Gillen Homestead.
Oh,
there you go, Mayor Diaz, you idiot. You goofball.
And not even young punks, too. How about just normal people?
How about any punk? How about anybody out there that feels, you can go almost any city in the world at a festival where there are like thousands or hundreds of thousands of people, let alone 1 million people like Cayo Ocho, and there's going to be people smoking a little number and whatever they're doing, and they're having a good time, and that's what it's all about. Who gives a crap? With everything that's going on in the world today, this is what the worst he's got to worry about is some people are going to be smoking a little dope. at a rock concert? Wow, what a concept, Mr. Mayor.
I think bringing up his counterfeiting son every time he does something like this is
Do you really?
Good measure, yeah.
Yeah, probably because you'd like a few 20s.
I wish.
567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon Wireless line. Here's Cutler Ridge. Hello.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Neil,
Yes.
your first caller said he was ultra right wing.
Yeah.
That would be like URW. Like
I beg your pardon?
that would be URW Bush.
Whatever.
There's a default in my URL string.
Oh, God. 567-0560. Like I said,
When are
back
you
to
getting to the
bedtime
book?
stories.
Come on,
and
book.
I got the book sitting right here. And you wonder why I got rid of phone calls on this show? Oh, no, that's the worst thing we ever heard. We don't want to hear you reading on the air, Neil. Those bedtime stories. No, but they have nothing to say. I certainly put all the stuff out there on a plate, and I guess all my good hockey fans out there, they must have called Mo this morning. I don't hear that much of his show, thank God. They must have called Mo and got that out of their system about the Beezer using the N-word and having to resign his job as the minor league hockey coach.
Both of them.
The good board again,
did.
Beezer. Huh?
Right, both of them did.
Have we got one call about that? No.
No.
Well,
Who cares?
Who gives a crap? 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Here's Miami. Hello.
Good morning, Neil.
Yes, sir.
I want to tell you, I've been down here for some years now, from up in New York, just driving on 95 southbound now, and I see that new billboard with your photo.
Yeah, that's really going to do it, man.
Call letters, and I just programmed you guys in my car radio. Glad I found you. I've heard a lot about you. I wasn't able to find you on the radio.
Are you serious? In other words, we got a new listener because of the billboard?
Yes, sir.
Oh, my God, you've almost made my day, sir. Even if I get no other call the whole day, you made my life.
Well, you know, it's a great spot where I think it's in Hollywood, 95 southbound. Can't miss it.
Excelente. Thanks a lot, pal.
All right. Well, hey, thanks a lot. Take care.
And you too. There you go. We got one. QAM. We are radio-ish. We build our audience one at a time. And there's one. Yeah, remember those glory days when we used to have an audience?
Yeah.
When we used to be on 10 to 2, when we used to have a lead-in? When we used to work for people that showed even a minor appreciation of what the hell was going on a whole radio station as opposed to, well, I'm not satisfied, I'm not happy with this, and I'm not happy with that. You know something, Greg? That's what happens when you're like a pampered little child, you know? That has this sense of entitlement. Like everybody's supposed to cater to your needs and your whims. You screwed it up, baby, like I told you when he was right there in the studio on my anniversary on February 28th, whatever the hell it was, 2 weeks ago. Told him right there to his puss when he went running out the door. And by the way, he still hasn't paid Norm his money. I just mentioned that in passing. Still, as of this moment, hasn't paid him money he owes him. Here's a company, ladies and gentlemen, that's listed on the NASDAQ, BBGI, Beasley. And also there's a rumor going around that Mad Dog is getting ready to sue them too.
Really?
Have you heard that?
Nope.
That's what I heard. Either is considering or was considering because he can't collect all the money they owe him. Pay your bills, baby. Pay your freaking bills. Take care of your people. Stop using Barry Jackass as a mouthpiece to rip everybody an ass. That's my suggestion, Greg. Here's Miami. Hello. Miami.
Hello, how you doing?
Okay.
I'm from Chicago. I'm the first time listening to your show. It's a great show.
Is it really?
You're the only man in the media who's talked about the Israeli connection to this whole invasion into Iraq.
When did I talk about the Israeli connection to the invasion in Iraq? When did I say that?
Last week.
Oh. Yeah.
Last week. You're the only person. What?
Mm-hmm.
Why is this such a big secret?
Well, do you think it's a secret?
I think it's a big secret. Everyone's afraid to touch this issue.
Yeah, but have you forgotten that he gassed his own people, even though it was 20 years ago?
Oh, I know that. But
even though the Secretary of State was standing there shaking his hand the days after it happened?
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
But what about all these people surrounding Bush who have this agenda for this war?
You notice how they trotted them all out yesterday on all the talking head shows? There was Colin Powell on Eat the Press, and then they had Richard Pearl on there with Wolf Blitzkrieg yesterday afternoon. He is the worst, Richard Pearl, of all of them. He is the most glib, the most just obnoxious, disgusting piece of turd who looks down his nose at anybody who dares to disagree with him.
Well, I know, but no one talks about this connection. You're the only guy.
Okay, well, you just got through saying that 3 times. Thank you. You think he had a point there?
Hey, Neil.
5670560. And no matter what I would have said, I could have gone on for 3 minutes. He would have come back and said, you're the only one who talks about. Oh, maybe we know why now, too. Maybe it draws out people like you. Here's Aventura. Hello.
Neil.
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Witness to you.
Can you play the George tapes, please?
Oh, back again. Could you play the George tapes, please? Now we got a new one. In addition to the poll guy, we got this one every day. 567. Only when George gets his nasal passages cleaned out and he can do the show like he did that spot. Or maybe we can use Tommy's microphone. Then we'll play the George tapes. That's next week, by the way, sir. You'll be very pleased to know I'll be on vacation all week next week, so you can squeeze yourself starting right now, okay? Oh, thank God. Thank God we got the George tapes so we can get a little eating ass and Palestinian sucking next week. And what I leave out.
You're going to do what?
5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon line. Here's Kendall. Hello.
You lost your audience.
Yeah, there is another one. There's another regular every day. Let's see. We got the thanks for not doing a poll today. Put on the George tapes and you lost your audience. This is our audience. This is our callers. For the guy that discovered with the billboard, discovered our show. This is what we've had 27 years of, sir. 27 years of assholes. That's what we got. Keep them coming, baby. This is a substitute for anything of substance, for anything to say about anything. They can't do that. So let's take the shot. Take your best shot. Go right ahead. Have a good time today. It doesn't give me in fact, you know what today is?
What's today?
It's the payday.
Oh.
Have you seen Clarence?
No.
How about Carlos there? You got your paycheck yet?
No.
What are you laughing about? Nervous laugh?
Yeah.
Payday.
Exactly.
Kind of a freaking program director is that doesn't walk in there with a big smile on his face, say, nice job, Carlos, here's your check, and tell Neil his check was mailed on Friday. It'll be in his box at home right now as I speak. Where the hell is Clarence?
I ain't seen him.
You know what he's probably busy with?
Oh, I haven't. I know.
Sports.
That's it. Sports. Probably doing water sports. 12 minutes after 10 at 560 WQM. You're still reluctant about buying a bed over the phone. Do the smart thing for once in your life. Don't go out there and waste all your money shopping around, schlepping from department store to bedding store and getting ripped off. Call 1-800-MATTRES right now. You'll have a great night's sleep from Dollar Mattress. Take it from me. I've been using them for years. Just one easy phone call. You sit there right on your lazy ass, and they'll be there knocking on your door in no time at all. And they got the best mattresses in the world. They got Sealy, Serta, Simmons, King Coil, every size and style. They're ranked #1 in the universe in customer satisfaction. And Dollar Mattress gets more repeat and referral customers than anybody else because they know how to treat you right. Once you buy from Dollar Mattress, you'll never go back to the old showroom and that old way of buying a mattress again. And don't forget, when you do buy a mattress from Dollar Mattress, they'll take away the crappy, smelly, old soiled bedding and set up the brand new one for you for free. That's right. Dollar Mattress takes away the old, worn-out bedding and sets up your brand new one for free. So make the call right now to Dollar Mattress. You'll be sleeping great starting tonight. Call 1-800-MATTRESS, 1-800-MATTRES for Dollar Mattress, the easiest possible way to buy you a great new bed.
Live and local. We're Sports Radio 560 QAM. Nice.
Coming up tonight on Inside the Behind the True Hollywood Celebrity Music Biography Profile Story, we take a good, hard, stiff look into stardom. Rockabilly was a style of music long thought dead until they revived it, thereby giving it the chance to die again. They were the Stray Cats.
But we hit it big because we made this very pure type of music, you know, right in the middle of the 80s new wave stuff. Well, that and we had these seriously up pompadour hairdos.
The Stray Cats struggled to gain an audience until they opened for the Rolling Stones in 1981. In a recent VH1 interview, Mick Jagger remembers.
Oh, yeah, right, 1981, yeah, right. Great band. The Runaway Pussies, I think they were called.
Stray Cats.
What?
They were called the Stray Cats.
Oh,
Having made such a deep impression on the Rolling Stones, the the Stray Cats were poised on the very brink of having a hit or two and then dropping off the freaking radar.
It's hard to describe that feeling. To know you're going to make this incredibly minor impact and then just sort of go away. What a rush.
The Stray Cats. Okay, so Brian Setzer had another hit in the 90s with Jump, Jive, and Wail, but only weirdo swing dance losers were into it. God, remember those freaks? It's a big, juicy, sopping wet look at show business tonight on Inside the Behind.
10:18 at 560 WQAM, 5670560, pound 560. It's our Festival of Hate from South Florida. You can smell it in the air. I just cracked the window, and all the way here in Toronto, you can smell it. Here's Hollywood. Hello.
Hey, Neil, how you doing?
Okay.
Hope you're having a good day. I saw your billboard this morning, finally on the way to work. I've been looking for it up and down 95 like crazy.
Yeah.
It's on one of those rotating billboard signs, and I barely caught it. Like, I saw your picture real quick, and all of a sudden it turned, and I was like, oh, there's his billboard finally.
Yeah, well, they don't want to keep it on there too long. They figure if people are forced to look at my face for more than like 5 or 10 seconds, it's going to drive them off the road.
Yeah, well, I thought, I was been looking for it like crazy. I finally saw it.
Why do you keep saying that? Why have you been looking for it like crazy?
Well, because you've been talking about it. Where is it? Where is it? I've been looking for it for you. It's right off the exit off 95 onto Pembroke Road.
Yeah.
It's just, so everybody can go by and see it. That's all. I just want to let you know I finally found it.
Okay, thanks for the good news. He's been looking for it like crazy, George, and he finally found it. And the billboard, too. Woo!
You're the only one, man.
5670560, pound. Keep them coming, baby. Keep them coming. I'm loving this today. It's payday. I got vacation starting next week. I could give a flying crap. That's the thing that amuses me the most about the evildoers in South Florida. The hateful, the spewers, the usual South Florida hostility. Is they think that they're really disturbing you, and I couldn't care less. Nobody could care less with a brain, except, of course, in the morning.
That was to show your psychic connection again.
What's that?
You said keep it coming. Guess what KC song I had queued up for today?
Could have been Keep It Coming.
Squirt, squirt.
Get that queen off of there, okay, will you? My good close personal friend, Harry. Looking pretty bad, by the way, Harry. Aren't we all? Here's a lady in Miami. Hello.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, you really must not have any calls. I got right in.
No, not too many.
I want to talk about two things. First, I happened to be at somebody's house this weekend and picked up the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, which I never would have looked at, except in the middle, there's this really great half-naked picture of Vincent LeCavalier.
Really?
Yeah. You should at least look at it. Borrow George's issue.
No, he don't do anything for me.
He's not bad, I have to say. I've never seen him with his uniform off, and he's.
I'd rather see Brad Richards naked if I'm going to look at naked Tampa Bay Lightning players.
Okay, I'll go with that. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, did you happen
or maybe
to
Aaron Gavey from? Go ahead.
Did you happen to catch the story about the guy who kicked his son's puppy, his golden retriever puppy, to death in front of his 6-year-old? So he got charged with child abuse as well as animal cruelty.
Where was this?
This was in Miami.
Oh.
It was in the paper. It was in the Herald in the local section on Saturday. It happened February 21st. Apparently, the guy came home and the puppy had chewed a hole in the garden hose. So he wrapped the hose around the dog's neck, choking him and kicking him to death in front of the 6-year-old while the kid's standing there screaming.
I'd like to pull the switch on that son of a bitch. I'll tell you right now.
That's why I love to watch Animal Precinct on the the Animal Planet or whatever that is, because at the end of the show, everybody gets arrested and taken away in handcuffs.
Good.
It's wonderful. I love your show. I haven't seen your billboard yet, but I'll go look for it somewhere.
Well, go look for it like crazy.
I sure will.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks for the bad news. Isn't that nice, huh?
Yeah.
Puppy killers in South Florida. What did I tell you? I'm not saying that it's only in South Florida, but boy, we sure have more than our usual share. In fact, this Michael Moore book, when he starts talking about the election and about Jeb Bush and the whole Florida business, I'll get into it in a little bit. We got to warm it up with some really good calls, though, first. What are you laughing about, mister? Can we hear the George tapes? You're losing your audience. Thanks for not doing a poll. I mean, it's the same 5 people. That's what we got. Let's put them in a goddamn room at the Holiday Inn. It's a lot cheaper than doing all this mess that we're doing here with all this electronic crap. 5670560, pound 560. They don't care about the Beezer. They have no idea who that is, first of all. They couldn't care less about 60 Minutes or Bill Clinton or, what's his name, Bobby with a bad hand Dole. They don't care about Manny Diaz or the fact that he's trying to unplug this damn show that they've spent already $600,000 on, and thousands and thousands and thousands of people are planning on coming on March 22 in Miami because he's afraid there might be some drug usage there, and because I guess he's appointed himself now as dictator of public morality. They don't give a crap.
Get your own house in order, Manny.
That's right. Unless he wants to share with us,
right.
If his kid will share with us the use of the printing press.
Yeah, but he's got to, increase the quality a little bit. I don't want to get busted.
Here's Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Hey, Neil, how you doing?
All right.
I wasn't looking for your billboard, but I accidentally stumbled upon it.
Good.
So,
Don't be looking like crazy for it. People say you have no life.
Just want to, out of curiosity, and this has nothing to do with your show, but do you still carry or sell or do something with your Best Stuff CD? Did you do anything with 2002? Sorry, I was out of the country end of last year.
No.
Are you planning on anything for this year?
No, we're surrounded by too many lazy people that don't want to be bothered with the work, so we can't do it. Well, we raised a lot of money for charity, and it sure helped promote the show a lot, but I just don't have the people who are willing to do it.
If I could donate my services in any way possible, I'd love to, because first of all, I don't mind the money going to charity, and secondly, you have some great stuff on the last couple CDs, 2001, and it's just a shame. So. Yeah,
I agree with you. It is a shame, but that's the QAMF way, man. We just got a bunch of lazy people that don't want to be involved. Too much work.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
See, everybody's bringing up all this unpleasant stuff today. It's, it's one of those things. Got a lot of people, we don't want to do that. He's not doing that this year, is he? Oh. You know what I mean, Carlos?
He was busy. He was on the phone.
What do you mean he's busy? He's busy.
He's busy.
He's not busy. What's important in there, see, you're not teaching him right, okay? You're not teaching him crap. In fact, you aren't teaching him crap. He thinks the whole thing is the bedtime stories and go out and smoke a couple of faggots in a hallway out there, outside with the, what's her name, with the water Nazi, and that's it.
He's been answering all these great calls that have been coming in.
Yeah, give me a break, great calls. What year is that gonna be, huh? This is the beginning of 28 years on the air in this godforsaken place. It's never been any different, only the demographic has been different. Hello, Neil. That's all that changed. Nothing else ever changed. Here's Miami. Hello.
Calm down, you corny faggot.
Here's a call from Kendall. Hello.
Yeah, hi. How you doing? I wanted to respond to the Nazi from Chicago. As a Jew from Chicago, been here 30 years, I think it's time to transfer the Palestinian savages to...
Okay, great. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll give you his phone number, and the two of you can duke it out, okay? That guy called last week with exactly the same thing. You're the only one who wants to talk about that, and he keeps repeating the same thing, and you're going to dignify him with a response. Forget about him, okay? Forget about it. And get rid of the settlements, too, while you're at it. 5670560, pound 560 on it. And not only does that make me nauseous, but now we've got the right-wing Jew of the day on television. Yesterday they had a debate between two Jews. One of them, his name was Solomon, who was against the war, and the other guy, this David something or other, another Jew, who's another one of these right-wing Jews who's talking about, well, you're spewing that left coast propaganda. As soon as you hear left coast, you know exactly where they're coming from?
Yeah.
You know what you're dealing with?
Mm-hmm.
But they and then of course Richard Pearl is on there, another one, and Wolfowitz. Where do they find all these self-hating Jews anyway?
I got a clue.
And not to mention, of course, Ari the fairy. Well, I mean, as long as we're playing that. You know what I'm saying?
Not often enough.
Harry's the fairy.
Little preview. 26 after 10 at 560 WQAM. You know, for years I've been telling you about health benefits of Oleomed, and now I'm taking it myself. I'm popping the Oleomed for blood pressure in my puss every day, and my blood pressure is great, by the way, in spite of this show, because this stuff really works. Oleomed soft gels contain pharmaceutical-grade olive oil, not just ordinary olive oil, but super concentrated and loaded with health benefits. Oleomed every day can help reduce the risk of heart disease and high cholesterol. Plus, there are 14 different Oleomed formulas you can choose from, each one combining pharmaceutical-grade olive oil with vitamins, minerals, and herbals to support specific health needs. From bones to blood pressure to your immune system, just pick out the formulas that are right for you and what you'll be needing. Now there are 3 new Oleomed formulas, one to help you sleep, one to help you control your weight, and CoQ10, which I keep telling you, and I'm right, is damn important for your heart. You'll find Oleomed at Publix, Eckerd's, Walgreens, Whole Food Markets, Navarro, and Sedano's. Order it online if you like at oleomedamerica.com. If you want to get more information about their products and what they can do for you, call 1-866-OLEOMED. That's 1-866-653-6633. Start popping some Oleomed in your puss today.
Live and local. This is Sports Radio 560. QAM.
Canadians, dumb as dirt.
In light of Germany's blatant disregard for all things American, this radio station invites you to join us in the boycott of the following people, places, and things. German potato salad, knockwurst, bratwurst, Farfignugan, Boris Becker, Boris Karloff, small mustaches, stocky hairy women who are mean, steroids, lederhosen, German measles, Ricola cough drops, Lugers, Lugis, the Baldwin brothers, the Brothers Grimm, Hansel and Gretel, dark beer, not mandatory, wieners, Wiener Schnitzel, Dobermans, German Shepherds, Brigitte Nielsen, Bologna, Pretzels, The Sound of Music on DVD, Cabaret the Musical and Joel Grey, and anything associated with Joel Grey, Wolfgang Puck, Schnauzer, Sigmund Freud, Wagner, Braun Razors, Strudel, Accordion, Zamfir, Master of the Pan Flute, Wayne Newton, Black Forest Cake, Bavarian Cream Pie, Birkenstocks, Haagen-Dazs Ice Cream, Colonel Klink is played by Warner Klemperer, Collectible Beer Steins, Frankenstein, David Hasselhoff, and the cast of Baywatch. Thank you.
You're welcome. 1031 at 560. I'm not giving up my bratwurst, by the way. Here's a lady in Pembroke Pines. Hello. No. And, is it on the wrong line?
You were.
Well, I'll be damned. Like I said, here's this. Why does it keep doing that? Because I keep punching the same line.
Yeah.
Here she is. Hello.
Hi.
Yes, ma'am.
As an avid hockey fan that I know you are, and I've always taken what you had to say with knowing the knowledge you have, I would like to know, after what Beaver said and after the apology, do you think that this man has a chance of a job in hockey ever again?
No.
That's a shame because of the fact that he's a goalie and a good one and has knowledge of hockey.
Well, wait a minute. First of all, he hasn't played in a couple of years. He's a coach now. He's not a goalie anymore. He's not a player.
Right, but he still can teach hockey, can't he? Isn't that what a coach does?
Yeah, but you're asking me, has he got a chance of having a job in hockey again? And I'm telling you no, because nobody's going to hire him.
And I'm saying I agree with you.
Right.
I absolutely agree.
Well, I don't care whether you agree or not. I mean, I answered your question. I'm just telling you the answer is no. He's not going to get hired again.
I think it's sad, though. I think it's sad because many people have made racial slurs and yet still have held on to their jobs.
Not too many in a position like that. Not when you're coaching a bunch of people and behind their back you tell the rest of the team this nigger did this and this nigger did that, and you're making racial statements like that.
You're right, except that when it's done with a laugh, then it's better.
Well, what does that mean?
Meaning that when Tiger Williams was first gotten his jacket, didn't Fuzzy or whatever his name say, oh, now we could serve chicken and watermelon? But he laughed.
Yeah.
And so that was okay?
That was a joke.
Oh.
He wasn't, Van Beesbrook wasn't joking.
No, I know that, but I'm saying he apologized.
Look, everything, when it comes down to language, it all depends on the usage, on the intent, okay? And there are young people who call each other nigger all the time.
Right.
White kids, black kids. There are people who use that all the time. That's not a problem. But when it obviously was used in a very derogatory way, and he said it over and over again, and then he got caught with his words down, in addition to being this born-again Christian, it's all going to come back to roost. Nobody's going to hire him again. He's going to get blackballed.
Okay, I know you have a knowledge of hockey. Do you remember that there was a player with Philadelphia called Larry Seidel?
No, I don't. And have a great day. Oh, my God. I mean, she's entitled to her opinion. I'm entitled to mine. I answered her question. Do I think he's ever going to get a job in hockey again? The answer is no. And that's the end of that. That's it. No chance. Bye-bye, Beezer. Maybe you can become a priest or something, a preacher. Works for everybody else. 567-0560, pound 560 on the 18. Didn't I answer the question?
No. Answer it again.
Well, I know hockey. How about that Owen Nolan, baby?
Oh!
And Glenn Wesley? We'll see. Here's a call from Davey. Hello.
Neil?
Yes, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm okay.
Hey, thanks for turning me on to Smallville. I've been watching it. It's been pretty good lately.
All right.
Hey, I wanted to know, are you familiar with the White House correspondent, Helen Thomas?
Sure.
She was on MSNBC pretty recently, and she was going through her career. You know, she's fielded questions to 9 different presidents.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God, when she got the W, you wouldn't believe it. He said, do you still stick by what you said about him being the worst president that you've ever seen? And she said, oh, not only the worst president I've ever seen, but the worst president in the history of our country.
Right, and you'll notice they snubbed her at the first time in history that they snubbed her at the televised press conference last Thursday night.
Yeah.
Didn't let her ask a question.
W won't talk to her now because she told the truth.
Because he can't handle the truth.
No, no. And here's an 82-year-old woman with a big pair in the Democratic Party. Nobody has a pair to say anything.
Right, absolutely correct.
They won't say nothing.
And isn't it something now about how Pelosi comes out over the weekend and says, oh, well, if the Democrats, if we would have just spoken up back in the fall, we wouldn't be going to war right now. We could have avoided all of this and blah, blah, blah. But the fact of the matter is that they didn't.
Well, the only two that have a pair are Kennedy and the old one from West Virginia, Byrd. They're the only ones that came out and said...
Listen, the Kingmeister had Robert Byrd on a couple nights ago.
Oh, I know.
I saw part of that. I mean, watching a dead man in a chair, I'd rather watch Imus, you know?
I know. It was pretty bad, but at least he was talking about the right thing. It's the wrong war at the wrong time.
He didn't have a clue what planet he was on, believe me. Have a great day, pal.
Thank you.
Okay, Robert Byrd. Have you seen him lately?
Not lately.
He's been dead for 5 years and nobody bothered to tell him. And he was talking about how he had some part in a movie or something, and Larry said, "Did you die in the movie?" And he like, "No, I'm still alive." I'm serious. He didn't get it. I mean, yeah, let's have a lot more Strom Thurmans and Robert Byrds and Jesse Helms and people over the age of 500 in the Senate. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
No. Sure, they can relate.
I mean, you talk about a guy who's like lost it so long since, whether you agree or disagree. And keep in mind, he was another one that was giving the goody two-shoes crap to Bubba about the Monica stuff. Oh, another great line from Monica.
Yeah.
With her dieting problems.
Mm-hmm.
She's finally learned not to put certain things in her mouth. Oh. Is what she says.
Oh.
5670560, pound 560 on the AT and Verizon wireless line. Here's Miami. Hello.
Neil.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
Hey, I passed by that Calle Ocho thing yesterday. Miami's finest was definitely not Miami's finest. I think if something would have broke out there, they would have had a hard time just walking behind them.
Really?
It was really that bad. It wasn't nothing out of hand, but just the police showing there was just terrible. Bunch of fat guys, bunch of like old guys with like two belts on.
Yeah, well, they probably live in the hood.
They probably do.
Yeah.
Probably had to walk from their house right to Calle Ocho, didn't have to go to work that day.
Absolutely. They bring any good stuff by?
They were just like a bad showing. Trust me.
Okay, thanks. He said they were bad showing. Do you have any idea what he's talking about?
No.
5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T. Express yourself, baby. Learn to express yourself. Can anybody in that town say something?
No.
I don't know. I have no idea what these people are saying. I'm enjoying it, though. I really don't know why. Oh, there's Jack Straw.
To draw from this is that we must further increase the pressure on him.
He says Saddam is a master of playing for time. Do you know that he gassed his own people? Oh, so I was starting to mention that before about this Jew that they had on yesterday who was this right-wing Jew about the left coast this and the left coast that. And they trot out the same lines. Oh, my God. It's like they got him written on a 3x5 card about how he gassed his own people. He invaded another country. What is going on here?
It's a mantra.
What has changed in the last 12 years that all of a sudden makes him an imminent threat to this country? Like he's lying about, oh, now we got the smoking gun now, this missile. Wow, yeah. Whoopee-doo.
Still can't reach us.
Couldn't reach it? Are you kidding me? He'll be lucky if he can reach next door. They got him so cornered at this point. But, that's not good enough because, and of course, once we get over there, and the other guy made a real good argument in this debate yesterday with Wolf Blitzkrieg. He said just because of the fact that we're there, that's not sufficient reason to go to, it was with the Richard Pearl debate. That's who it was. He says just because we're there now doesn't mean that that's justification for going to war because Pearl is saying, well, we can't logistically back away and then come back if he does this and that. So in other words, we're already there. We're all set up to go to war. We've got our plans, and now he's screwing up with our plans, and whether you like it or not, bada bing, we're going in.
That was the argument way back in the beginning. Remember, we threatened war, and now we can't go back on it because otherwise our threats will be hollow and empty.
There you go. And we'll look impotent.
Yeah.
5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon line. Here's West Palm Beach. Hello.
Neil.
Yes, sir.
We get over there. I just don't picture how you're just going to snap your fingers and find them without, just having to go to every palace he's got over there. It's good. I don't see how they're going to get in and out without it being a total massacre.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to be thinking ahead. I can't believe that they're just going to go in and fight basically an urban warfare kind of thing and lose so many guys.
Yeah, they're making it look like it's going to be really antiseptic, like it's going to be very clean. We're not going to kill too many civilians.
I don't see how it's going to happen. Why isn't it going to turn into Vietnam was a jungle, of course, as far as quail is concerned. But this is how are you going to go in and if you're going to get him, he's not going to just pop up and walk up. You're not going to find him. He's going to be just like Osama, where you're not going to know if he's dead or alive because he bombed the heck out of everything. You're just not ever going to know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how it's going to get done right, and I don't see how they're going to have all these guys over there not do something. There's no way they're just going to bring them home. I mean, sadly. But that's my opinion.
Good luck to us, man. That's all I can tell you. Just hope for the best because it doesn't look too good. This story from Sky News that we were going to put now, did we get these stories on a website or not?
Yeah, they're on there.
They're on there, but the problem is that most people can't get to our website. Well, at least that's a start. Later on in the day, we'll get that straightened out, maybe, and maybe not. Soldiers' chilling warning. This from Sky News in Britain. An Iraqi defector has told Sky News that Saddam Hussein will use chemical weapons if the country is invaded. His warning comes amid revelations that he may be planning to use pilotless drone planes to spray British and U.S. troops with anthrax and sarin gas if they attack. In an exclusive interview, the officer with Saddam's elite Republican Guard said the use of chemical weapons by Iraq was 100% guaranteed. The 26-year-old soldier defected 10 days ago near the city of something with 400 letters in it in northern Iraq. He's being guarded in a safe house and is said to have provided valuable intelligence to authorities. A chemical attack is guaranteed, he warned. We've been fully provided with complete protection gear, gas masks, first aid kit, and injections. In the 1991 war, Saddam Hussein deployed his chemical weapons, but they weren't used. We are sure about the chemical bombardment, said the defector, whose identity is being protected. In the last stage, he will use it as a last resort. There you go. Doesn't sound too pretty, does it? 19 before 11 at 560 WQM. I noticed that we don't have any copy, Troy, and also my good friend Steve Wolf over at Pompano Park for Pompano Park.
Huh.
Do we?
I haven't gotten any.
Although we do have coming up this Saturday, March 15, they're going to be giving away a vacation trip for two to Treasure Cay Resort and Marina in Abaco in the Bahamas. That's something big coming up. And, of course, we got live racing, and they still haven't let me know what the March schedule is, but that would be nice. One of these days, Steve Wolf will do that, don't you think?
Sure, why not?
I do know that we have racing at least 4 nights a week during the month of March, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Live harness racing at its best, 7:15 p.m. General parking admission is always free at Pompano Park. Starting at 7:15 is post time, and of course we got simulcasting every day, 7 days a week, starting at noon and lasting till the wee hours of the morning. So if you want to plunge your brains out, this is the place. Pompano Harness, located a block south of Atlantic Boulevard on Powerline Road, easy to get to from both I-95 and the Florida Turnpike. For directions, call 954-972-2000. And don't forget, this Saturday, March 15, win a vacation trip for two to Treasure Cay Resort and Marina in Abaco in the Bahamas if you get lucky at Pompano Harness.
Live and local. This is Sports Radio 560. QAM.
Bitch, you slut, you whore.
Harry's the fairy and he's gonna get married. Harry's the fairy and he's gonna get married. Self-hating homo, so he's gotta get married. Homo has to cover it up. He's a queer homo, mincing proof and a pronouncing queen. Lead in his shoes, long and confused. Self-hating Jew who wears panties underneath his suit. Harry's a neocon fairy, so he's gotta get married. Harry's a fairy and he's gonna get married. Self-hating homo, now he's gotta get married. Spokesman of the White House homo. He's a fan, a Jack-Hootish schmuck with a blow-up doll of John F. Scruggs. That's what he stole for Nazi brown home, and he never eats tuna on a roll. Harry's a screaming, leaping fairy, so he's gotta get married. Harry's a fairy and he's gonna get married. Self-hating homo, but he's gonna get married. Homo has to cover it up. Yeah. Homo has to cover.
Okay, they want to take up an office pool, and we'll pick the date for the day that they tell us we shouldn't be playing that anymore.
Oh.
Huh? There's your next assignment, Mo. There's something for you to get busy on. Make a few calls around. Although I don't think if he's going to be calling up the gay rights groups that he's going to get too much support, do you? I'm sorry. Our homophobic morning guy?
Why not?
Our pipe-smoking, tube chomping, whatever he calls it. Look at that. The Dow's down over 100 points. The S&P is down 13.
Oi!
Oh, my God. Things are looking kind of bad. Yeah, there'll be the day that'll come. Oh, you can't play that because you're picking on Ari Fleischer and calling him names and yada yada. You'll see. That day'll come. It might not be quite as hysterical as that, but you'll see. 567. Boy, I'll tell you, we had a little run there for a little bit, didn't we?
A little bit, mostly cranks.
A little bit of a run. Now, we had a few. We had like a couple of callers. Then we had that one guy, you're the only one who, Israel and the Iraq. He's, calls us exactly. These people must have it written down on 3x5 cards, you know? They must have it scripted.
And
just
then
like the right
them all
wingers.
day long, too.
Here's a call from Miami. Hello.
You've lost touch with your audience.
Nah, you've lost touch with the audience again, using other people's material, using other people's old, stale material. All that time you waited for, you've lost touch with your audience, except for him, of course, who he's still listening and waiting to hear, so I can hear the sound of his voice.
You know, that was
Thank
even
you so
funnier
much.
than the first time.
Was it really?
Yeah, no.
567, we have no calls on the board. We have nobody in South Florida with anything to say. And you see what I'm telling you?
I know.
All last week we faked our way through with those polls. It works like a charm. They're happy. We're happy because the show goes by like it's 10 minutes. And that's what the show degenerates to because there is no verbal intercourse in South Florida. It doesn't exist. They don't have the capacity for it. Except for a bunch of old yentas.
Hello, Randy. I think that the president is doing a wonderful job, and you should only rot in hell, you miserable bitch, you.
Yeah, stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about.
No, what are you talking about?
Here's a lady in Pembroke Pines. Hello.
Hey, Neil.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to tell you, you know who Jordana Brewster goes out with?
Who's that?
Derek Jeter.
Really?
Yeah. And also in Teen People this month, in the very end, it has a whole thing about Tom Welling's life. He was a construction worker, and a talent scout found him.
I'll be damned.
Yeah.
Huh.
He was good looking. Even when he was real young, he was real good looking.
I'm sure of that.
Okay, that's all I wanted to tell you.
Well, what a waste of Jordana Brewster. That's very depressing.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, bye.
Derek Jeter. He looks like he's from another planet. You ever seen him?
No.
Oh, that's right. What am I asking you for?
Right.
I'm sure Carlos has seen him.
Yeah, he does look like an alien.
I mean, looks isn't everything, but when you look like she does, I mean, he looks like, maybe he's an illegal alien like you guys. 567-0560, pound 560. By the way, Dr. Phil's a scumbag and a deadbeat.
Yeah.
It says even worse than Greg Reed, it says here. I'll get to that eventually. And Aerosmith rocker. Wait till you hear this article about Steve Tyler going into the mobile temple in New York.
Mobile temple.
The mobile synagogue, that's right. An RV transformed into a place of prayer. He wandered in and opened up his big mouth. We'll get into all of that good stuff. The tabloids are here like 2 weeks ahead now. What's the date today? The 10th?
Mm-hmm.
And already the tabloids for the 18th, so like a week and a half they're here already. While you guys are just salivating, waiting for something good. Here's Miami. Hello.
Mo rules.
Yeah, moron. Here's Kendall. Hello.
Hi.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Neil.
Yes.
I just wanted to say I really like your show. I've been listening since I've been like 16, and now I'm 23. And I don't really have anything interesting to say today. I just hope you get better callers than people like me.
Okay, well, then this one. Okay, thank you. 567-0560. See, let me give you a little instruction again, since we're back to this again, at least for one day today, and I don't think we'll be doing this again anytime soon. There are two things on talk shows that are just as old as Methuselah. And they're so trite and contrived. Well, I know you know a lot about hockey, sucking around and ingratiating yourself like I really love your show. Well, I mean, that's nice, but I would assume that if you're listening to the show, you probably either like it or you hate it like poison or somewhere in between. But you'd assume that you like the show. And nobody cares about that. It's boring, see. It's boring. As opposed to, hey, how you doing? And here's what I have to say, which is the way a real conversation would take place on a real talk show, although there quite frankly aren't any of those anymore. No, seriously, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
Here's what I have to say. And then there's the other ones, which you've heard many of today, and that's because they have nothing to say. Let's open up the door for you suck. Where's the George tapes? You've lost your audience. And for those people. So it's either sucking around or taking a cheap shot, as opposed to having anything of substance, except maybe some of that, because I can still smell it. Yeah. God. It's never going to change,
No.
but I just mention it in passing, okay? Just for your perusal and amusement, so you can have a little chuckle like all the rest of us, because you know it's never going to happen.
Right. I got you down, but I already knew it.
Oh, but how come we don't have C-SPAN in there to talk about these? Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
Remember those days?
Sure.
And there were people excoriating me because I wouldn't invite C-SPAN and CNN to come in and sit on the show so they could listen to the brilliant comments of the people in South Florida about the things that were going on in the world. Right. These are the same people that voted for Pat Buchanan that he's talking about. Here's Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Hey, Neil, how you doing?
Okay.
I'm kind of in the middle. I was just thinking about what about all the other dictators that we got rid of, like Noriega and Idi Amin, and we dropped a couple of bombs on Gaddafi's head, got rid of him fast.
What do you mean we got rid of him? What do you mean we got rid of him?
Huh?
What do you mean we got rid of Gaddafi? He's still there.
Well, he's there, but he's been very quiet. He's not as verbal.
Well, since we
loudmouth.
killed his kids, he kind of quieted down a lot, yeah.
Yeah. There's a few bombs over his head, and that seemed to quiet his ass down. But
Right.
How do we ever get rid of Idi Amin? Remember him?
Dada.
Huh?
Idi Amin Dada.
No, that was Dada.
That
Was
was-
you talking about the guy in Haiti? I'm talking about the guy in Africa.
Papa Doc was the guy in Haiti.
Oh yeah, Papa. Did we go to the UN for that and go through all that to get
Yeah,
rid
but
of
that was just a little exercise. That was within our sphere of influence. That's in the Western Hemisphere.
So we just got rid of them with like the,
Just like Panama was in our, it's in
that didn't work though too good.
Just like Cuba. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, there you go, troublemaking again.
But Iraq, I guess the guy's too entrenched. It's too big of a deal just to get rid of him, I guess.
Well, what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, he's been in power 35 years, and he has a lot more power in that area than those guys did.
Yeah.
So it just seems like, and of course the oil had something to do with it.
Ah, now you're getting a little warmer.
So, I mean, well, Turkey didn't, one of the things
And
with
keep in mind, sir, that 3 years ago, or 5 years ago it is now, in 1998, Halliburton, when Dick Cheney was Vice President Halliburton, they were still doing business with him. The same evil dictator, the same evildoer, the same guy who's such a threat, who gassed his own people. In 1998, had he gassed his own people?
Yes.
Had he invaded another country?
Yes.
But didn't stop Halliburton from doing business with him. And of course the French, who have no credibility at all, because even now they're doing business with him, the French love him. They're one of his best business partners, okay? So they have no credibility, even though they happen by accident to be right in this case, but they have no credibility. Zero. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and argue. What's the point? Well, what's the, why waste the effort? It's all an exercise. That's what it is. Because the media, of course, caves right in. They suck right along. They put on a couple of people just to make it look good, a couple of protesters, a couple of celebrities. And that's the end of that. Well, that's from the left coast, the left coasters say this and the left coasters say, and Nancy Pelosi, let me say it to you, sweetheart, you pointed out this weekend very ably, even though she didn't mean to do it, exactly why the Democratic Party is so impotent and useless. Useless. You're not even a good buffer anymore, Nancy. You suck. Because they put their finger out the window and they weren't quite sure which way the wind was blowing and they didn't want, and again, they were backed into a corner by the Bush people. They didn't want to seem unpatriotic, which he did a very good job of doing that back on the anniversary of 9/11. Remember that?
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, well, if we would have done this, well, if chickens pee, they'd probably have a wet underside, too, honey? But you didn't do it. You had your chance and you didn't do it. You blew it. You blew the big one. And there's Bob, what's his name there from West Virginia on there, Bobby Bird, going like that. Doddering old fool that he is. What's the use, man? I'm gonna, this next hour, you watch, I'm gonna get into this Michael Moore book, Stupid White Men, which far be it from me. Just a few pages, I'm serious. Because it hits real close to home about the stolen Florida election and about the illegal, illegitimate president that we have. Yeah, what have I called it? I told you it was a bloodless coup, and that's exactly what it was. And that's the reason the minute that Clinton got in there, man, these henchmen, these right-wing lunatics, they were in there, they were doing everything in their power to get him out. And when they couldn't do it out any other way, it had to come through sexual peccadillos, which I still recommend very enthusiastically, that book about Blinded by the Right by David Brock, about how they made up all of that bullcrap about with the troopers in Arkansas, all of this crap, and they just made it up. And Rush went on the air about Hillary killed this one, and this one did that, and they just made it up as they went along. And they still couldn't get his ass out of there. And they still couldn't win this election legitimately, so they had to steal it. What a fortuitous point that it happened to be in the state of Florida. You know what I'm saying? Where his governor his brother happened to be governor.
Hey, don't worry about Florida.
Yeah. We'll take care of that. We'll take care of all them dark folks. In fact, how come we're so worried about John Van Beesbrook using the N-word as opposed to what was done to dark people in the state of Florida? Huh?
Shut up.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Disenfranchised. Anyway, let me tell you right now about all you dog lovers out there about a great place. It's called Bark Avenue Pet Resort in Hollywood. A lot of people not too crazy about boarding their pets, including me in the past, because a lot of places don't take good care of your animals. Bark Avenue Pet Resort is the only all-natural pet resort in the country, a beautiful 10,000 square foot facility that offers boarding, grooming, and daycare. Whether it's just for the day, they're open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., overnight, or for several months. Your dog will enjoy the comforts of luxury with oversized tiled suites with animal print beds, filtered smell-free air, cleaner than most of your homes, I guarantee you, purified water for drinking, bathing, and washing, too. Bark Avenue's top-notch groomers, Todd and Francesca, offer expert cuts on all breeds, and they use only pure chemical-free soaps and shampoos, too. At Bark Avenue, your dogs aren't cooped up all day like at most places, and your dogs socialize according to their size in large play areas on soft agility mat flooring. And your dogs are always in the presence of a counselor while at play. Bark Avenue also offers feline boarding in their kitty condos area, hammocks included. Want to take a look for yourself? Just log out of their website, www.barkavpetresort.com, and take a virtual tour that allows you to look in on your pet anytime, no matter where you are. Bark Avenue Pet Resort is located at 1400 South Federal Highway. Call them at 954-925-BARK or log on to www.barkavpetresort.com. Bark Avenue Pet Resort, the vacation spot your pet will fall in love with.
Live and local. This is 560. The radio's all yours now. QAM.
Gordon gives South Florida a major blowjob.
Lynn Samuel says the smart people are listening on QAM.com, George. Her and two others.
Oh, I'd like to know who won the election.
Thanks, Lynn.
Said I'd like to know who won the election. Count the vote, baby, count the vote over, count the vote, baby, count the vote over, count the vote. Ever since this presidential race began, I've often wondered who was going to win. Some Palm Beach people went to do their voting chore. So count up all the ballots and find out who's gotten more. Those old folks seem to have one thing in common. Looks like lots of them just gave their votes to Patrick Buchanan.
Oi!
So I'd like to know who won the election. Yes, I'd like to know who won the election. Count the vote, baby, count the vote over, count the vote, baby, count the vote over, count the vote. The final tabulation started coming in. Then I saw a news flash on Channel 10. Some angry people all together in a bunch. They said they were confused and didn't know which hole to punch. Those old folks seem to have one thing in common. Looks like lots of them just gave their votes to Patrick Buchanan. So I'd like to know who won the election.
Increíble.
Said I'd like to know who won the election.
Unbelievable.
Oh, I'd like to know who won the election.
Yes.
Yes, I'd like to know who won the election. Count the vote, baby, count the vote over, count the vote, count the vote, baby, count the vote, count the vote over, count the vote, how many for Bush, count the vote, how many for Gore, count the vote, how many for Bush, count the vote, are there any more, count the vote, they messed up the ballot, count the vote.
Here's a fax that says, so where is Idi Amin, speaking of him? It says, in exile in Saudi Arabia with our so-called good friends over there. You know, the Saudis?
All right.
The freaking Saudis, our good paisans, our good pals.
What ethnicity was this guy that they just captured, by the way? Did we ever
Why
find
do you
out?
keep asking me that? I don't know. I don't know, but he was turned in by an Egyptian.
I see. Turned into what?
Turned into a hardened criminal. Turned into a prisoner. For $27 million, his Egyptian paisan turned him in. I don't know. But he's certainly not Iraqi, I can tell you that.
Right.
At any rate, Michael Moore, who's definitely not Iraqi and who also voted for Ralph Nader, I should point out, which is very sad. But, well, he used to work for him, you know. I guess he had a soft spot in his heart and a bad spot in his mind. Stupid White Men and Other Sorry Excuses for the State of the Nation, a book that came out like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
A little less than that. And I guess I'm way behind the curve on this. I should have read this a long time ago, right?
Right.
And I still haven't seen Bowling for Columbine, even though they're winning all kinds of awards up here for it. But I'll get around to it. Anyway, the introduction. Now, just a few pages here. Can I do this? Yes.
Please.
Just maybe 15, 20, 30, whatever, because the calls suck, as usual. And if you joined us in midstream, number one, shame on you. Number two, the billboards look great, and it's long overdue. And number three, our website's screwed up. So if you can't get on it today, don't worry. You're not missing anything on there except the bedtime stories, right?
Right.
I don't want Carlos to have to go through all that work and find out that.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. So when is that supposed to be back up again? 8:30 tonight?
He didn't hear it.
There are those who say it all started to unravel the night of November 7, 2000, when Jeb Bush gave his brother George Jr. an early Christmas present, the state of Florida. For others, those upon whom a decade's fortune had smiled, the turning point came when the Dow had its biggest annual loss in almost 20 years. For most, though, the day the music died came the night we were told Pluto was no longer a planet, and life as we knew it was as distant as the look in the new president's eyes. Wherever you choose to pinpoint the exact moment when it all crumbled before your eyes, it matters not. The only thing that matters is that we collectively as Americans all know that someone has pulled the plug on our all-night binge. The American century? That's over. Welcome to your Century 21 nightmare. A man no one elected sits in the White House. California can't find enough electricity to operate its juicers or execute its inmates. It's cheaper to FedEx yourself across town than drive there. Russia and China have signed a new pact just when we've dismantled the last of the fallout shelters. .coms have turned into not-coms, making the NASDAQ as safe a bet as a backroom craps game in Reno. The past 2 years have seen the most layoffs since the worst years of the Reagan Renaissance devastated the country. You stand a better chance of dating Catherine Harris or Tom DeLay than of making your Northwest connection to Detroit on a sunny day. What's that you say? You want to talk to a real human being in customer service? Ha ha, press 4 and kiss the rest of your day goodbye. Oh, and aren't you lucky? You're working 2 jobs and so is your wife, and you've got little Jimmy working down at McDonald's too, so you can afford that new home on the tree-lined street with neatly trimmed lawns and little white picket fences. And look, there goes Spot to greet Grandpa as he pulls into the driveway. And next month you're going to make the last payment on the student loan you've had for the past 20 years. But then, suddenly, your company has announced it's moving to Mexico without you. Your wife's employer has decided she's no longer needed because the new human resources consultant believes that one person can easily do the jobs of 3, and little Jimmy has come down with an unknown illness from something he ate out of the McNugget fryer, and your HMO says they won't cover little Jimmy's operation, but they'll be happy to treat him as an outpatient if you're willing to drive to Tijuana twice a week, because, well, they've got a new outpatient clinic just across the border thanks to free trade, which may or may not be responsible for the worm found in Jimmy's half-eaten McNugget. Oh, sorry, the collection agency just called. They'd like your new Celica back because you've missed a payment. Hey, maybe when you go to Tijuana and drop Jimmy off, you can head down the street and reapply for your old job, where all the associates are given their own outhouse and fed a free breakfast burrito when they arrive at work at 5 o'clock every morning. Pardon me if I was dreaming, but weren't things looking up just a year or so ago? This, keep in mind, was written a year ago. Weren't we supposed to be living through the largest economic expansion in history? Hadn't the government ended 55 years of operating in the red and finally boasted a cash surplus large enough to fix every road, bridge, and tooth in America? Air and water pollution were at their lowest levels in decades. Crime was at a record low. Teen pregnancies had dropped out of sight. And more kids were graduating from high school and college than ever before. Old people lived longer. You could call Kathmandu for 12 cents a minute. And the Internet was bringing all the world, save the 2 billion or so who live without electricity, closer together. Palestinians broke bread with Israelis. Catholics shared a pint with Protestants in Northern Ireland. Yes, life was getting a whole lot better, and we all felt it. People were friendlier, strangers on the street would give you the time of day, and Regis made the questions easier so we could have more millionaires. Then something happened. Investors lost millions in the stock market, crime went up for the first time in a decade, job losses skyrocketed, American icons like Montgomery Ward and TWA vanished. Suddenly, we were $2.5 million barrels short of oil every day. Israelis started killing Palestinians again, and Palestinians returned the favor. By mid-2001, 37 countries were at war around the world. China became our new enemy again. The United Nations kicked us off their Human Rights Commission, and the EU attacked us for unilaterally violating the ABM Treaty by reintroducing Star Wars. It was hard, damn hard, to find a good movie. Millions stopped watching network television, and every radio station you tuned in sounded the same, like crap. In short, all of a sudden everything sucked. Whether it's the shaky economy, depleted energy supplies, elusive world peace, no job security, no health care, or the simple, unusable ballot we were given to pick a president, it's become maddeningly clear to most Americans that nothing seems to work. Firestone tires don't work, and the Ford Explorers that ride atop them don't work either, which means you don't work at all because you're dead and decapitated lying in a ditch outside the Dunkin' Donuts. 911 doesn't work, 411 doesn't work, cell phones don't work, and when they do, it's some asshole having an argument with his broker at the table next to you while you're trying to eat dinner. Freedom of choice is a thing of the past. We're down to 6 media companies, 6 airlines, 2.5 car makers, and 1 radio conglomerate. Everything you'll ever need is at Walmart. You can choose between 2 political parties that sound alike, vote alike, and are funded by the same exact wealthy donors. You can choose to wear nondescript pastels and keep your mouth shut, or you can choose to wear a Marilyn Manson t-shirt and get kicked out of school. Brittany or Christina, WB or UPN, Florida or Texas, there's no friggin' difference, folks. It's all the same, it's all the same, it's all the same. How did this all happen? 3 little words, stupid white men. Think about it. The Bush boys who took the slender inheritance of Poppy's political mind, not to mention charisma, and spread it even thinner among themselves. Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, Spencer Abraham, and the other old shills Bush revived to prop him up. The CEOs of the Fortune 500, the wizards behind Hollywood and 500 channel TV, hell, the average Joe who sees 15 miles per gallon on his new car sticker and thinks not bad as the ozone clouds part above his head. That's right, the whole planet is being overrun, and I'm convinced it's starting to fight back. One day last February in Chicago, the temperature hit 70 degrees, and what happened? Everyone was like, wow, this is great. People were walking around in shorts, and the beach along Lake Michigan was filled with sunbathers. Boy, I love this weather, said one lady to me on the street. You love this? Let me ask you, if the sun suddenly rose at midnight tonight, would you say, oh, wow, this is beautiful, I love it, more daylight? No, of course you wouldn't. You'd be freaking out on a level that's never been measured. You'd be screaming bloody murder that the earth was spinning out of control, heading toward the sun at 1,000,000 miles a second. I doubt anybody would be running to the beach to catch any of those bonus rays. Of course, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe somebody just launched 1,000 warheads on Milwaukee, and that's the bright light you're seeing to the north as nuclear fission interacts with vacant, boarded-up breweries. Either way, you'd be ripping through so many Hail Marys and God have mercies, you might just knock 10 years off your sentence to purgatory. To be continued. Well, it's going to, take a while.
I need a towel.
Isn't it great stuff?
I have sweat beading on my lip.
Do you really?
No, not really. I just
probably that corporate disease. 12 minutes after 11 at 560 WQM. Delights of West Boca is the place for you people on the Atkins and Skatkins and other low-carb diets because they got everything you need. It's a super store for low-carb and sugar-free diets, and they continue to add new low-carb food products every day. This month, Delights is introducing 3 new flavors of their low-carb crunchy racket chips and new low-carb brownies by Carb Control in 4 delicious flavors with only 1 carb per serving. So whether it's Carbolite ice cream, breads, muffins, cheesecakes, pasta and sauces, or any of the other 600 low-carb foods, Delights of West Boca is the place you're going to be wanting to shop. And you can always try it before you buy it. They got an knowledgeable staff that knows Atkins dieting inside and out, and they're open every day, 7 days a week from 10 to 10. They carry the most complete line of Atkins brand products in the world. They're always 25% off all day, every day. So don't forget, if you're looking for a low-carb diet store, this is the place. The #1 low-carb sugar-free store in the world, Delights of West Boca. And you'll find them on the northeast corner of Glades and 441, right next to Boston Market. Or call them toll-free, 1-877-LOW-CARB. Or find them on the web if you like at lowcarb.com. Don't forget, there's only one Delights of West Boca. It'd be your official Atkins retail center.
We're Sports Radio 560 QAM.
You understand the Gestapo keeps track of everyone.
Have inept election officials left you confused? Here is your guide to understanding how to cast your vote in Palm Beach County, Florida. Follow along with me to see just how easy it can be. Let's get started, shall we? Joining me here in the booth is Mr. Mermelstein. Who are you voting for?
Al Lieberman.
Yeah, I see. Now, read the butterfly ballot, starting with Bush Cheney in the left column, Buchanan, Chickelgruber, Mengele, Eichmann, and Goebbels in the right.
Where's Al Lieberman?
Over there.
This Goebbels guy.
Yes?
Is this the guy who makes my baby food?
No. Now simply punch a hole in the 1959 Univac key punch card.
Okay, where? There.
Over there. Here. Use this microscope.
Oh, there. Is that it?
No.
Okay, I'll punch again. Is this
No. That invalidates your vote.
All right, yeah, I'll punch again. Another
You do
one.
that again, I'll punch you.
One more for good measure.
Why, you... Doddering old Hebe. Remember, comrades, if you want to live in Florida, exercise your right to vote in accordance to the Little Brother.
Oi!
11:17 at 5:60. So UCF Kenny, who's a chronic faxer, says, who won Friday's poll? Grace Kelly, ? Being a young punk, I'm not too familiar with her post. Do you think she's a worthy winner? Well, on the poll right now it says Marilyn Monroe, but she had a whole bunch of fake votes, so Grace Kelly really won.
Yes.
He says, P.S. Kristen Kruk rules. Well, I hate to break the news to you. Kristen's cute, but she ain't in the same world, not on the same planet with Grace Kelly, okay?
No.
Not even in the same category. She may have some of the same parts, we would assume, although Clark will never find out. Anyway, getting back to A Stupid White Man by Michael Moore, #1 New York Times bestseller that I should have read a long time ago, but I'm glad I didn't because then I wouldn't be reading it right now. Just a few pages if you'll indulge me, and if not, bye-bye. He says, so why on earth do we think a 70-degree day in the coldest month of the year in one of the coldest cities in America is something to crow about? We ought to be demanding action from our representatives and swift retribution against those responsible for these climate changes. This isn't right, folks. Something is terribly wrong. And if you don't believe me, ask that dead infected cow you're drowning in A1 sauce. He knew the answer, but we killed him before we could move it out of him. But let's not worry about Mother Earth. She's lasted through much worse. Let the tree huggers lose their sleep over it. We're too damn busy trying to make money. Ah, money, the sweet stench of success. A couple of years ago, I was talking to a guy in a bar who happened to be a stockbroker. He asked me about my investments. I told him I didn't have any, that I don't own a single share of stock. He was stunned. You mean you don't have a portfolio where you keep your money? I don't think it's a good idea to keep your money in portfolios, I replied, or in a briefcase, or even under the futon. I save what little I can in a place called a bank, where I have what old-timers call a savings account. He was not amused. You're just screwing yourself, he said, and you're being irresponsible. I remember reading you made a lot of money from your first film, right? Do you know how much you could have made to have today if you invested in the stock market 10 years ago? Probably about $30 million could have been mine? What was I thinking? Suddenly, I got very queasy and felt like all my principles and beliefs were about to end up on my shoes. I excused myself and went outside. Sometime after the event, the stockbroker guy got hold of my home address and started sending me weekly market updates and other propaganda in the hope that I'd give him my kids' college fund to gamble with on the strip known as Wall Street. Well, the investment opportunity flyers have stopped coming. In the past 18 months, Microsoft has gone from $120 to $40. It's about $22 now. Dell from $50 to $16, and Pets.com and its cute little sock puppet have gone to puppy heaven. The NASDAQ has lost nearly 40% of its value, and average Americans snookered into the madness of playing the market with their meager savings have lost billions. Any thoughts of early retirement we may have entertained are out the window. We'll be lucky if they let us cut back to 40 hours a week when we're 82 or incontinent, whichever comes first. Actually, not all of us. There are almost 56,000 new millionaires in the country, and they've made out like bandits. They made their money because they already had a goodly sum to begin with and then invested in companies that got rich by throwing people out of work, exploiting children and the poor in other countries, and receiving big reductions in their taxes. For them, greed wasn't good, it was mandatory. In fact, they were so good at creating a climate of greed that the word itself went out of style. Now it's called success. And yes, it comes with its own punctuation. Soon virtually no one questioned all this gluttony as wrong or obscene. It became such a part of our daily life that when this character from Texas got greedy and took an election he didn't win, we stood back and gave it to him. He wasn't being greedy, after all, just being smart. Just as corporate agriculture's dicey schemes to corrupt the genetic makeup of your cornflakes aren't insane or greedy, that's progress. Just as the guy next door who wants the biggest SUV ever built isn't being greedy, he just wants more torque, baby. This stupid white virus is so powerful it's even infected ringers like Colin Powell, Interior Secretary Gail Norton, and National Security Advisor Condoleezza Rice. And it's created a deep funk, a grand national funk you can feel wherever you go. It's permeated us so profoundly I wonder if we'll ever recover. Of course, we're all trying hard to forget about the moment when this ugly cultural shift hit critical mass. Did I say shift?
Yeah.
Either way it works. When this ugly cultural shift hit critical mass and the forces of evil took over, I know what it is, you know what it is, even an idiot like Brit Hume knows what it is. It's that damn stolen election. Stolen, hijacked, abducted, and ripped from the very hands and hearts of the American people. There's absolutely no dispute over who got the most votes, and there's little question now about the shenanigans that took place in Florida, yet he who won is not the man we see playing wiffle ball on the South Lawn this afternoon. Yes, we're all telling ourselves nothing all that bad really happened. Get over it, we've been told. But the events of those 36 days shook us hard, knocked the wind out of us, and wedged something deep in our national craw. Nothing short of one big national Heimlich maneuver can save us now. We're stumbling around blue in the face, wondering if relief will come in time. Will I have my job next year? What will happen to my retirement fund? Do ice cubes count as a food group? You do not count. It's a tough lesson to learn, and tougher still to discover that all the stuff you've always been told to do, vote, obey the law, recycle your wine cooler bottles, doesn't really matter either. You might as well pull the shades and take the phone off the hook because you and your fellow Americans have just been declared irrelevant. Your services as a citizen, we regret to inform you, are no longer required. So confusion reigns, and the seismic tremors of national frustration are starting to rumble beneath our feet. The grumbling isn't subsiding, it's growing each day. 8 months after the election, deep into 2001, a Fox News poll announced that nearly 60% of the American public had not gotten over how Bush took the White House, that were still angry. That's a long time to harbor aggressive ill will toward our leader. A mood that swings out of control like this, with no prompting from refined sugar or Oprah, is a mood that can alter history. Millions of Americans, from all points on the political spectrum, are feeling off balance, unsure, upset, unglued. The rest are in prison. The common view is that in the heartland is that the ship of state is running on fumes and no one's at the wheel. After all, the designated driver wasn't designated by anyone, and he's a self-confessed drunk driver to boot. Hardcore Republicans are desperately hoping that Big Dick Cheney can survive half dozen more heart attacks and last long enough to oversee the raping and pillaging of everything west of Wichita. What they don't realize is that he's already put the rest of the country into cardiac arrest. Meanwhile, he and his gang are double-timing to dismantle as much of the environment, the Constitution, and the evidence in Tallahassee as they can before the EMS unit called Election 2002 arrives. And if there's one thing I'm certain of, and this is unfortunately where he's wrong, he says, if there's one thing I'm certain of, there's a triage coming. The American public will be turning off the life support system on this administration faster than you can say Jack Splat Kevorkian. So hack away, Ms. Norton. Last I heard, trees grow back. Bombs away, Mr. Rumsfeld and General Powell. We're all out of Sergeant McVeigh's for you to pin medals on. Drill away, Mr. Abraham. We'll have you parking those big gas hogs at the Grosse Pointe Yacht Club before you know it. Soon, like good St. Jeffords of Vermont, the elephants will be jumping from the sinking ship. The rest of us will just sit back and enjoy the show while contemplating how to make next month's house payment and where to take cover as the remains of Antonin Scalia rain down upon us like a cold shower in January. Hey, damn it, wait, it's not supposed to rain in January. So the panic builds, the media can turn to look the other way if they want, and the pundits can keep trying to sell their lies by repeating them so often they start seeming true. But we millions of Americans aren't going to fall for the deception. The stock market isn't just going through a natural cycle. There's nothing beneficial about genetically enhanced beef. The bank doesn't want to work with you to help you catch up, and the cable guy isn't coming between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. or any other time for that matter. It's all a bunch of hooey from top to bottom, and as soon as they recognize we're onto them, the sooner we'll get our country back. Today I took my year-old car with less than 4,000 miles on it into the repair shop at the dealership where I bought it. Why? Seems that every other time I go to start the car, it won't start. I've replaced the starter, the battery, the fuse, the computer chip, but none of that has solved the problem. When I told the service manager all of this, he looked at me with a witheringly vacant stare. Oh, these new Beetles, they don't start unless you drive them every day. I thought for sure I must have heard him wrong. After all, he was speaking perfect English, so I asked him again what the problem was. You see, he said, shaking his head in pity, these VWs are run by a computer system, and if the computer hasn't read any activity, namely you turning it on and driving it every day or so, then the computer assumes the battery is dead or something, and then just shuts down the whole car. Is there any way you or somebody you know can go down to the garage and start it once a day? I didn't know what to say. If you don't start the car every day, it'll die? What's this, 1901? Am I being arrogant to expect that a car I spent $20,000 on is supposed to start whenever I put the key in the ignition? There aren't many things left in the world these days. The sun still sets in the west. The Pope still says midnight mass on Christmas Eve. Strom Thurmond still comes back to life whenever there's an ex-first lady around to grope. I would have thought I could claim to at least this one article of faith. A brand new car always starts, period. Like 95% of the customers who've sold these new Beetles to us said, I live in Manhattan. Do you know anybody in Manhattan who drives their car every day? Yes, sir, we understand. Nobody in the city drives their car every day. They use the subways. I don't even know why they sell these cars in the city. It's really a shame. Have you tried riding the Volkswagen? Is there a kid on your block you can get to start it for a few minutes every day or so? So I'm stuck with a car that doesn't run in a country where nothing works, everything sucks, and it's every man, woman, and state-tested child for themselves. Survival of the richest, no more lifeboats for you or you or you. There's got to be a better way. That's the introduction, and there's a few pages I'm going to read inside, which hopefully I'll read better than that. Not reading again, are you? Well, I know, it's not as good as a lot of these great calls we had today, but it's pretty damn powerful stuff.
Another poll.
I beg your pardon?
Another poll.
27 past 11 at 560 WQAM. Oh, we're supposed to be talking about the Beast, our good close friend, and Balance for Life. Everybody and their brother now, you turn on every channel with an infomercial, every other one is some kind of a diet. And now even Tony Robbins, the guy with the big head and the 85 teeth, even he's going to inspire you to lose the weight. Forget about that stuff, okay? It's not going to work for you. Balance for Life works because you don't have to do any guesswork. There's no cooking, no shopping, no cleaning, no worries, no calorie counting, no carbohydrate counting. You don't have to figure out the zone diet, which this is based on, because they figure it all out for you. All you do is pick between two choices for each meal every day that you run the program. You fill out your little menu, and then you send it over to them. And they send you back every day at 6 o'clock in the morning to your home, your work, wherever, a nice little black sack. And inside your black sack, that's the key to losing all that weight. 3 gourmet meals, 2 delicious snacks right there in your little black sack, and the weight comes pouring off your body. It's all healthy, it's all fresh, delicious food, nothing prefabricated, no chemicals, no crap. The beast has lost almost 60 pounds on the Balance for Life, and he's going to be doing a lot more, or else we're going to want to know why. Let him do it for you, too. Let him take care of your dieting plans without all that counting and all that quackery. Call him today at 954-568-3229. You'll look a lot better and be a lot healthier for it, too. 954-568-3229, or check him out on that wicked World Wide Web at balanceforlife.com.
Live and local. This is Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Over here.
Don't like all the heartburn. Every time I see that retarded dimwit on my TV. He's President Trump. Republicans muscled in, an inarticulate idiot. I don't know why they would want this guy, but now he's here. We're screwed the next 4 years with President Dumb. Oh, what I give to count votes once more and get who we all voted for. Lips drumming, stupid geek. Mindless drunk and rich kid. He's even dumber than me. He's President Dumb. You don't care what it took. You got him in by hook or crook. The Christian right knows what's best for you and I, but have no fear.
Are you?
We've got a great leader here with President Dumb. President Dumb.
11:32 at 560 WQM. Jim Mandich at 1. Hank Goldberg from Shula Steak 2 at 3. 6:30 we got Chitko Panther preview. 7 o'clock Panthers at the Rangers. 8 after the hockey game from GA and Joe and Mark overnight. That's the schedule. A Very American Coup is Chapter 1 in Michael Moore's great book, Stupid White Men. He says the following message was intercepted by UN forces on 9/1/01 at 600 hours from somewhere within the North American continent. Are you following that date?
Okay. Say it again.
9/1/01.
Okay.
It's just a date he picked out of the blue, but it sure is interesting. I am a citizen of the United States of America. Our government has been overthrown. Our elected president's been exiled. Old white men wielding martinis and wearing dickies have occupied our nation's capital. We are under siege. We are the United States government in exile. Our numbers are not insignificant. There are over 154 million adults among us and 80 million children. That's 234 million people who did not vote for and are not represented by the regime that has placed itself in power. Al Gore is the elected president of the United States. He received 539,898 votes more than George W. Bush, but he does not sit in the Oval Office tonight. Instead, our elected president roams the country without purpose or mission, surfacing only to lecture college students and replenish his stash of Little Debbie snack cakes. Al Gore won. Al Gore, president in exile. Long live President Alberto Gore. So who then is the man that now occupies 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue? I'll tell you who. He is George W. Bush, president in quotes of the United States, the thief in chief. It used to be that politicians would wait until they were in office before they became crooks. This one came prepackaged. Now he is a trespasser on federal land, a squatter in the Oval Office. If I told you this was Guatemala, you'd believe it in a heartbeat, no matter what your political stripe. But because this coup was wrapped in an American flag, delivered in your choice of red, white, or blue, those responsible believe they're going to get away with it. That's why, on behalf of 234 million Americans held hostage, I've requested that NATO do what it did in Bosnia and Kosovo, what America did in Haiti, and Lee Marvin did in the Dirty Dozen, send in the Marines, launch the Scud missiles, bring us the head of Antonin Scalia. I've sent a personal request to UN Secretary General Kofi Annan to hear our plea. We are no longer able to govern ourselves or to hold free and fair elections. We need UN observers, UN troops, UN resolutions. Damn it, we need Jimmy Carter. We are now finally no better than a backwater banana republic. We're asking ourselves why any of us should bother to get up in the morning to work our asses off to produce goods and services that only serve to make the junta and its cohorts in corporate America, a separate autonomous fiefdom within the United States, has been allowed to run on its own time for some time, even richer. Why should we pay our taxes to finance their coup? Can we ever again send our sons off into battle to give their lives defending our way of life? When all that really means is the lifestyle of the gray old men holed up in the headquarters that they seized by the Potomac? Oh, Jesus, Joseph, and Mary, I can't take it. He says, somebody passed me the universal remote. I need to switch back to the fairy tale that I was a citizen in a democracy with an inalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of Happy Meals. The story I was told as a child said that I mattered, that I was equal to every one of my fellow citizens, and not a single one of us was to be treated differently or unfairly, and that no one was to wield power over others without their consent. The will of the people, America, the beautiful land that I love, twilight's last gleaming. Oh, say, can you see, are the Belgian peacekeepers on their way? Hurry. The coup began long before the shenanigans on Election Day 2000. In the summer of 1999, Katherine Harris, an honorary stupid white man who was both George W. Bush's presidential campaign co-chairwoman and the Florida Secretary of State in charge of elections, paid $4 million to Database Technologies to go through Florida's voter rolls and remove anyone suspected of being a former felon. She did so with the blessing of Governor of Florida George W.'s brother, Jeb Bush, whose own wife was caught by immigration officials trying to sneak $19,000 worth of jewelry into the country without declaring and paying tax on it, a felony in its own right. But hey, this is America. We don't prosecute felons if they're rich or married to a governing Bush. The law states that ex-felons cannot vote in Florida, and sadly, though I'm confident that Florida's justice system was always unimpeachably fair, that means 31% of all black men in Florida are prohibited from voting because they have a felony on their record. Harris and Bush knew that removing the names of ex-felons from the voter rolls would keep thousands of black citizens out of the voting booth. Black Floridians are overwhelmingly Democrats, and sure enough, Al Gore received the votes of more than 90% of them on November 7, 2000. That is, 90% of those who were allowed to vote. In what appears to be a mass fraud committed by the state of Florida, Bush-Harris and Company not only removed thousands of black felons from the rolls, they also removed thousands of black citizens who had never committed a crime in their lives, along with thousands of eligible voters who had committed only misdemeanors. How did this happen? Harris's office told Database, a firm with strong Republican ties, to cast as wide a net as possible to get rid of these voters. Her minions instructed the company to include even people with similar names to those of the actual felons. They insisted Database check people with the same birth dates as known felons or similar social security numbers. An 80% match of relevant information the election office instructed was sufficient for Database to add a voter to the ineligible list. These orders were shocking even to Bush-friendly Database. They would mean that thousands of legitimate voters might be barred from voting on Election Day just because they had a name that sounded like somebody else's or shared a birthday with some unknown bank robber. Marlene Thorogood, the Database project manager, sent an email to Emmett Bucky Mitchell, a lawyer for Katherine Harris's election division, warning him that unfortunately programming in this fashion may supply you with false positives or misidentifications. Never mind that, said old Bucky. His response, obviously we want to capture more names that possibly aren't matches and let county election supervisors make a final determination rather than exclude certain matches altogether. Database did as they were told, and long before 173,000 registered voters in Florida were permanently wiped off the voter rolls, in Miami-Dade, Florida's largest county, 66% of the voters who were removed were black. In Tampa, Hillsborough County, 54% of those who would be denied the right to vote on November 7, 2000 were black. But culling names from Florida's records alone was not enough for Harris and her department. 8,000 additional Floridians were thrown off the voting rolls because Database used a false list supplied by another state, a state which claimed that all the names on the list were former convicted felons who had since moved to Florida. It turns out that the felons on the list had served their time and had all their voting privileges reinstated. And there were others on the list who had committed only misdemeanors, such as parking violations or littering. What state was it that offered Jeb and George a helping hand by sending this bogus list to Florida? Texas. This entire incident stunk to the high heavens, but the American media ignored it. It took the BBC to dig deep into this story, running 15-minute segments on its primetime news program, revealing all the sordid details and laying responsibility for the scam right at the doorstep of Governor Jeb Bush. It's a sad day when we have to look at a country 5,000 miles away to find out truth about our own elections. Eventually, the LA Times and the Washington Post picked up the story, but it got little attention. This assault on the voting rights of minorities was so widespread in Florida that it even affected people like Linda Howell. Linda received a letter informing her that she was a felon and therefore advising her not to bother showing up on Election Day because she would be barred from voting. The only problem was Linda Howell wasn't a felon. In fact, she was the election supervisor of Madison County, Florida. She and other local election officials tried to get the state to rectify the problem, but their pleas fell on deaf ears. They were told that everyone who complained about being prevented from voting should submit themselves for fingerprinting and let the state then determine whether or not they were felons. You following this?
Yeah, I'm chilled.
It gets better. Let me do the break.
Oh, God.
It gets even better. In Florida. And then, of course, since then, Governor Jeb was reelected in Florida, as we know.
Oh!
Yeah. It's just astonishing. It's just amazing to me how many stupid people are. Not just stupid white men, stupid men and women of all shapes, colors, and sizes. 20 till noon at 560 WQM. Do you have $2,000 more on a credit card? If so, listen to this. Debit-cated consumer counseling will help you, and it'll cost you Zippo nothing. That's right, it'll cost you not a dime. Debit-cated is a non-profit company that'll contact the companies you owe money to, and they'll cut your payments in half. Call 1-800-4-NO-DEBT. That's 1-800, the number 4, and the letters NODEBT. Debit-cated will help you cut your interest rate, eliminate late fees, and save your credit. It'll cost you nothing. The bank pays debit-cated, you pay nothing. So if you're tired of battling credit card debt, call Debit-cated at 1-800-4-NO-DEBT. Call and find out how Debit-cated can help you. You've got nothing to lose. If you've had it with credit card debt, high interest rates, and late fees, call Debit-cated Consumer Counseling. They'll handle it from there. Call right now, 1-800-4-NO-DEBT, and don't forget it costs you nada.
Live and local. We're Sports Radio 560 QAM.
It stinks in Miami town at 560 WQAM.
All right.
Administrations to be respected.
Administrations to be respected.
Very good. You may continue. No tricks.
11:44 at 560 WQM, the Mad Dog at 1, Hank at 3 from Shula's, and the Panthers and the Rangers tonight. This should be on our website, by the way, Carlos, since we don't have too much else for you to do.
What, the Michael Moore stuff?
Yeah, Stupid White Men. No, not the stuff, but I'm talking about the books that we recommend on there.
Right, well, I have no control over that. Eric is the one that does that, but beat you to it. I already emailed him the picture of the book and told him that.
What a guy, man. A Little Beaner Boy is doing it. Oh! Let's hear it for Little Beaner Boy. We may have to upgrade his little pup tent under the overpass. Nice going. No, seriously, you know where we have the books listed, like Eric Alterman is the last one, What Liberal Media, and David Brock, etc. Anyway, it continues. May I continue? Yes, please. Thank you. On November 7, 2000, as black Floridians flocked to the polls in record numbers, many were met at the ballot boxes with a blunt rebuke. You cannot vote. In a number of precincts in Florida's inner cities, the polling locations were heavily fortified with police to block anyone on Catherine and Jeb's felons list from voting. Hundreds of law-abiding citizens looking to exercise their constitutional right to vote, mostly in black and Hispanic communities, were sent away and threatened with arrest if they protested. George W. Bush would officially be credited with receiving 537 more votes than Al Gore in Florida. Is it safe to assume that the thousands of registered black and Hispanic voters barred from the polls might have made the difference if they'd been allowed to vote and cost Bush the election? Without a doubt. And when he's talking about Hispanic voters, he's talking primarily of non-Cuban Hispanics around the rest of the state. On election night after the polls closed, there was much confusion over what was happening with the counting of the votes in Florida. Finally, a decision was made by the man in charge of the election night desk for Fox News Channel. He decided that Fox should go on the air and declare that Bush had won Florida and thus the election, and that's what happened. Fox formally declared Bush the winner. But down in Tallahassee, the counting of the votes hadn't yet been completed. In fact, the Associated Press insisted it was still too close to call and refused to follow Fox's lead. Not so the other networks. They ran like lemmings after Fox made the call, afraid that they would be seen as slow or out of the loop, even though their own news reporters on the ground were insisting that it was too early to call the election. But who needs reporters when you're playing follow the leader? The leader in this case being John Ellis, the man in charge of Fox's election coverage. Who is John Ellis? He's the first cousin of George W. and Jeb Bush. Once Ellis made the call and everybody followed suit, there was no going back, and nothing was more psychologically devastating for Gore's chances of winning than the sudden perception that he was being the spoiler by asking for recounts, withdrawing his concession of defeat, tying up the courts with lawyers and lawsuits. The truth is that during all of this, Gore actually was ahead. He had the most votes, but that was never how the news media played it. The one moment from election night that I'll never forget came earlier in the evening after the networks had first correctly projected the state of Florida for Gore. The cameras cut to a hotel room in Texas. There sat George W. with his father, a former president, and his mother, Barbara. The old man appeared cool as a cucumber, even though it looked like curtains for Sonny. A reporter asked young Bush what he thought about the outcome. "I'm not conceding anything in Florida," Junior piped up semi-coherently. "I know you've all got the projections, but people are actually counting the votes. The networks called this thing awful early, and people are actually counting the votes, have different perspectives, so..." It was an odd moment in that crazy night of election coverage. The Bushes, with their relaxed smiles, looked like a family of cats that had just wolfed down a bunch of canaries, as if they knew something that we didn't. They did. They knew Jeb and Catherine had done their job months earlier. They knew that John was holding down the fort at Fox Election Central, and if all else failed, there was always that Team Poppy could count on, the U.S. Supreme Court. As we all know, that's exactly what happened for the next 36 days. The forces of the empire struck back, and they did so without mercy. While Gore was stupidly concentrating on getting recounts in a few counties, the Bush team was going after the Holy Grail, the overseas absentee ballots. Many of these ballots would come from the military, which typically votes Republican, and would finally give Bush the lead that denying the vote to thousands of blacks and Jewish grandmothers hadn't. Gore knew this and tried to make sure the ballots underwent maximum scrutiny before they could be counted. Sure, this ran contrary to the let every vote be counted plea he'd made when he calling for recounts, but he also had Florida law, which is pretty clear about this, on his side. It states that overseas absentee ballots can only be counted if they were cast and signed on or before Election Day and mailed and postmarked from another country by Election Day. But while Jim Baker was chanting his mantra, it's not fair to change the rules and standards governing the counting or recounting of votes after it appears that one side has concluded this is the only way to get the vote it needs, he and his operatives were doing just that. A July 2001 investigation by the New York Times showed that of the 2,490 overseas ballots that ended up being included in the certified election results, 680 were considered flawed and questionable. Bush got the overseas vote by a ratio of 4 to 5. By that percentage, 544 of the votes that went to Bush should have been thrown out. Got the math? Suddenly, Bush's winning margin of 537 votes is down to a chilly -7. So how did all these votes end up being counted for Bush? Within hours of the election, the Bush campaign had launched their attack. The first step was to make sure that as many ballots got in as possible. Republican operatives sent out frantic emails to Navy ships asking them to dig up any ballots that might be hanging around. They even put in a call to Clinton Defense Secretary William S. Cohen, a Republican, to ask him to put pressure on the military outposts. He declined, but it didn't matter. Thousands of votes poured in, even some that were signed after Election Day. Now all they had to do was make sure that as many of these votes as possible went to W, and so the real thievery began. According to the Times, Catherine Harris had planned to send out a memo to her canvassing boards clarifying the procedure for counting overseas ballots. Included in this memo was a reminder that state law required all ballots to have been postmarked or signed and dated by Election Day. When it was clear that George's lead was rapidly shrinking, she decided not to send a memo. Instead, she sent out a note that said ballots are not required to be postmarked on or prior to Election Day. What caused her to change her mind and the law? We may never know, since the computer records that showed what happened have been mysteriously erased, a possible violation of Florida sunshine laws. Now, long after the horses left the barn, Harris has turned over her hard drives to the media for inspection, but only after her own computer consultant looked them over. This is a woman who's now planning to run for Congress, and she won, by the way, as we know. Can these people get any more shameless? Armed with the blessing of the Secretary of State, the Republicans launched an all-out campaign to make sure as broad a standard as possible was used in counting these absentee ballots. Equal representation Florida style meant that the rules governing acceptance or denial of your absentee ballot depended on what country you were from. Perhaps that would explain why in counties where Gore won, only 2 out of 10 absentee ballots with unclear let me try it again. Perhaps that would explain why in counties where Gore won, only 2 out of 10 absentee ballots with unclear postmarks were counted. In Bush counties, predictably, 6 out of 10 such ballots made it on the final tally. When the Democrats complained that ballots that didn't follow the rules shouldn't be counted, the Republicans launched a fierce public relations campaign to make it look as if the Democrats were trying to screw the men and women who were risking their lives for our country. A Republican city council member from Naples was typical in his hyperbole. If they catch a bullet or fragment from a terrorist bomb, that fragment doesn't have any postmark or registration of any kind, he said. Republican Congressman Steve Byer from Indiana even obtained, possibly illegally, the phone numbers and email addresses of military personnel so that he could gather tales of ballot deny woe to garner sympathy for our fighting men and women. Even Stormin' Norman Schwarzkopf weighed in with the reflection that it's a very sad day in our country when Democrats start harassing military voters. All the pressure worked on the wimpy, spineless Democrats. They choked. While appearing on Meet the Press, Vice Presidential candidate Joe Lieberman argued that the Democrats should stop creating a fuss and not be bothered that hundreds of military ballots were being counted just because they weren't postmarked. Lieberman, like so many others among this new breed of Democrats, should have fought for principle instead of worrying about image. Why? Well, as the New York Times found out, 344 ballots had no evidence they were cast on or before Election Day. 183 ballots were postmarked in the U.S., 96 ballots lacked appropriate witness information. 169 ballots came from unregistered voters, had envelopes that weren't signed properly, or came from people who hadn't requested a ballot. 5 ballots came after the November 17 deadline, and 19 overseas voters voted on 2 ballots and had both counted. All of these ballots violated Florida law, yet they were all counted. Can I say this any louder? Bush didn't win. Gore did. It has nothing to do with Chads or even the blatant repression of Florida's African-American community and their right to vote. It was simply a matter of breaking all law, all documented, all the evidence sitting there in Tallahassee, clearly marked without question, and all done purposely to throw the election to Bush. On the morning of Saturday, December 9, 2000, the Supreme Court got word that recounts in Florida, in spite of everything the Bush camp had done to fix the elections, were going in favor of Al Gore. By 2 p.m., the official tally showed that Gore was catching up to Bush, only 66 votes down and counting, as one breathless newscaster put it. It was critical to Bush that the words, Al Gore is in the lead, never be heard on American TV. With only minutes to spare, they did what they had to. At 2:45 that afternoon, the Supreme Court stopped the recount. On the court sat Reagan appointee Sandra Day O'Connor and Nixon appointee Chief Justice William Rehnquist. Both in their 70s, they were hoping to retire under a Republican administration so their replacements would share their conservative ideology. On election night, O'Connor was heard lamenting at a party in Georgetown that she couldn't hold out for another 4 or 8 years. Junior Bush was their only hope for securing a contented retirement in their home state of Arizona. Meanwhile, 2 other justices with extremist right-wing viewpoints found themselves with a conflict of interest. Justice Clarence Thomas's wife, Virginia Land Thomas, worked at the Heritage Foundation, a leading conservative think tank in D.C. Now she's just been hired by George W. Bush to help recruit people to serve in his impending administration. And Eugene Scalia, the son of Judge Antonin Scalia, was a lawyer with the firm of Gibson, Dunn and Crutcher, the very law firm representing Bush before the Supreme Court. You following that?
Yeah. I'm trying not to gag.
But neither Thomas nor Scalia saw any conflict of interest, and they refused to remove themselves from the case. In fact, when the court convened later, it was Scalia who issued the now infamous explanation of why the ballot counting had to be halted. The counting of votes that are questionable legality does, in my view, threaten irreparable harm to Petitioner Bush, to the country, by casting a cloud upon what he, Bush, claims to be the legitimacy of his election. In other words, if we all let the votes be counted, and they came out in Gore's favor, and Gore wins, well, that will impair Bush's ability to govern once we install him as president. Let me do the break. Let me just read that one last thing again. The counting of votes that are of questionable legality does, in my view, threaten irreparable harm to Bush and to the country by casting a cloud upon what he, Bush, claims to be the legitimacy of his election. In other words, if we let all the votes be counted and they come out in Gore's favor and Gore wins, well, that will impair Bush's ability to govern once we install him as president. 11:55 at 560 WQAM. Tom Lehman and Joe Prieto of Hallett Pontiac GMC are proud to announce their Neil Deal March Madness sale. Now listen carefully. Neil Deal number 1, pick any new GMC or Pontiac in stock, like the 33 miles per gallon Vibe, priced as low as $13,998, and get 0% financing for up to 60 months. You heard me right, 0% for up to 60 months. Neil Deal number 2, choose any new vehicle in stock and get you up to a $3,000 rebate. That's absolutely correct, sir. Get you up to a $3,000 rebate on any new vehicle in stock at Hallett. Hallett's also got, as always, great Neil deals on used cars, trucks, and SUVs. And if other car dealers look at you with their nose like turned up in the air because your credit isn't perfect, credit will never be a problem for you when you do your car shopping at Hallett Pontiac GMC. It's another set of great Neil deals going on right now at Hallett, 13401 South Dixie Highway, the same great place. They've been giving people great deals for over 35 years. That's US 1 right across the street from the Falls, open every day, 7 days a week. For more information, call the Neil Deal hotline toll free. It's 1-888-534-4211. That's 1-888-534-4211. Don't forget, all Neil deals are subject to credit approval. See dealer for Today's. What is it?
Today's.
For Today's. For long tails. Hallett, Pontiac, GMC, in spite of my illiteracy, they still are professional grade.
Live and local. This is Sports Radio 560. QAM.
This is Dick Cheney. I like to relax by having Mary Magdalene massage my balls while listening to the Neil Rogers 12 to 1 hour.
Hey, Palm Beach County, you bunch of kooks.
Crazy naughty bunch of kooks.
Are you people stupid?
Yes.
You bunch of mooks.
You're a bunch of fruit.
At this rate, someone's got to do the right thing, or we'll be counting till spring. So what's the difference with the final score? Just give it to George Bush or give it to Gore. One of you knuckleheads should do the right thing,
God forbid,
or we'll be counting till spring. 'Cause either way, they know it was a tie. So I wonder why.
Please tell me why.
End this thing. Pick a king. Hand counting ballots is a ridiculous thing. And we'll be at it till spring. Both guys are goobers. They're petty and small.
They don't have much animal.
Neither could run a store in a mall.
Even a goofy big and small.
It makes no difference which schmuck wins this thing. Let's wrap up the counting by spring. Let's give it to Nader or Pat Buchanan.
Give the racist a chance.
Or maybe Perot will toss his hat back in.
Make the little Muppet dance.
How about Ally McBeal or her best friend Ling? As long as we don't have to count till spring.
1201 at 560 WQAM. Howland, Michigan. The leader of an Amish splinter group has been sentenced to 20 months to 15 years in prison for sexually assaulting a 14-year-old boy in his care. Let's hear it.
All right.
The great religionist. Wilbur Lee Eash, 50, had pleaded innocent to a charge of first-degree criminal sexual conduct with a minor, but later pleaded guilty to a lesser charge. He was sentenced on Friday. The teen is the son of a woman who was a member of his sect. He was living with Eash, is now in a foster home. Another one of those good old religionists. Wally in Deerfield got your facts. At least there's a couple of people out there that want me to keep reading. I just got about 2 or 3 more pages. Is that okay? Yes?
Please.
Well, I don't like all this reading, especially like pages and pages from a book, my God. But it's a great book, and my only regret is that I didn't read it a lot sooner.
Yeah.
Right?
I want it now.
Better late than never. Stupid White Men by Michael Moore. He goes on to say, true enough, if the ballots prove that Gore had won, which they eventually would, then I guess that would tend to dampen the country's feelings of legitimacy about a Bush presidency. In their decision, the court used the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, the same amendment they've loudly disclaimed when used by blacks over the years to halt discrimination based on race, to justify the theft. Because of the variation in the recount methods, they argue, voters in each district weren't being treated equally, and therefore their rights were being violated. Funny, but only the dissenters on the court mentioned that the antiquated voting equipment found disproportionately in poor minority Florida neighborhoods had created an entirely different and far more disturbing inequality in the system. Eventually, the press got around to conducting their own recounts of the votes, doing their best to spin the jumbled ball of public confusion into orbit. The headline in the Miami Herald read, Review of ballots find Bush's win would have endured manual recount. But if you read the entire story, buried deep inside was this paragraph. Bush's lead would have vanished if the recount had been conducted under the severely restrictive standards that some Republicans advocated. The review found that the result would have been different if every canvassing board in every county had examined every undervote under the most inclusive standard, that is, a standard that sought to include the true will of all the people. Gore would have won by 393 votes. On ballots that suggested a fault with either the machine or the voters' ability to use it, Gore would have won by 299 votes. I didn't vote for Al Gore, writes Michael Moore. He voted for Nader. But I think any fair person would conclude that the will of the people in Florida clearly went his way. Whether it was the counting debacle or the exclusion of thousands of black citizens that corrupted the results, there is little doubt that Gore was the people's choice. There was perhaps no worse example of the wholesale denial of the right of each voter to have his vote properly counted than in Palm Beach County. Much has been made of the butterfly ballot, which made it easy for the wrong person because the candidates' names and punch holes were crammed unevenly onto facing pages. The media went out of its way to point out that the ballot was designed by one of the county's election commissioners, a Democrat, and then approved by a majority Democrat local board. What right did Gore have to complain if his own party was responsible for the faulty design of the ballot? Had anyone bothered to check, they would have discovered that one of the two Democrats on the committee, the ballot's designer, Teresa Lepore, had actually been a registered Republican. She switched her affiliation to Democrat in 1996. Then just 3 months after Bush seized office, she resigned as a Democrat and switched her voter registration to Independent. No one in the press bothered to question what was really going on. Thus, the Palm Beach Post estimates that more than 3,000 voters, mostly elderly and Jewish, who thought they were voting for Al Gore, ended up punching the wrong hole for Pat Buchanan.
Ahoy!
Even Buchanan went on TV to declare that no way in hell did those Jewish voters vote for him. And he also said he didn't want the votes. Remember that?
Yeah.
On January 20th, 2001, George W. Bush, positioned with his junta on the Capitol steps, stood in front of Chief Justice Rehnquist and took the oath that presidents take at their inaugurations. A cold and steady rain fell over Washington throughout the day. Dark clouds obscured the sun, and the parade route, usually jammed with tens of thousands of citizens all the way to the White House, was eerily bare. Except for the 20,000 protesters who jeered Bush every inch of the way. Holding signs denouncing Bush for stealing the election, the rain-soaked demonstrators were the conscience of the nation. Bush's limousine couldn't avoid them. Instead of cheering crowds of supporters, he was greeted by good people moved to remind this illegitimate ruler that he did not win the election and that the people would never forget. At the traditional point where presidents since Jimmy Carter have stopped their limos and emerged to walk the last 4 blocks, as a reminder that we're a nation ruled not by kings but by equals, Bush's triple-armored black car with its dark-tinted windows, favored by mobsters everywhere, came to an abrupt halt. The crowd grew louder. Hail to the thief, she shouted. You could see the Secret Service and Bush's advisors huddling in the freezing rain trying to figure out what to do. If Bush got out and walked, he'd be booed, shouted down, and pelted with eggs the rest of the way. The limousine sat there for what must have been 5 minutes. The rain poured. Eggs and tomatoes hit the car. The protesters dared Bush to step out and face them. Then suddenly the president's car bolted and tore down the street. The decision has been made. Hit the gas and get past this rabble as quickly as possible. The Secret Service agents running beside the limo were left behind, the car's tires splashing dirty rain from the street onto the men who were there to protect its passenger. It might have been the finest thing I've ever witnessed in Washington, D.C., a pretender to the American throne forced to turn tail and run from thousands of American citizens armed only with the truth and ingredients of a decent omelet.
I love it.
Once the American lie, I love that, armed only with the truth and the ingredients of a decent omelet. Once the American lie put the pedal to the metal, it ran for cover to the bulletproof reviewing stand in front of the White House. Many of Bush's family and invited guests had already left to get dry. But George stood there and waved proudly at the marching bands, their instruments disabled by the rain. The long parade of floats wilted and crumbled by the time they arrived at the 1600 block of Pennsylvania Avenue. Every so often a lucky convertible passed by, carrying the few dampened celebrities Bush had convinced to honor him, Kelsey Grammer, Drew Carey, Chuck Norris. By parade's end, Bush stood alone in the stands, drenched, even his parents having deserted him for shelter. It was a pathetic sight, the poor little rich boy who came in second showing up to claim his prize with no one there to cheer him on. Sadder still were the 154 million of us who had not voted for him. In a nation of 200 million voters, I would say we constitute the majority. And yet, what could George W. have been thinking other than, what, me worry? There were plenty of hired hands to be installed in the White House, pulling the strings for their puppet president. With Daddy's old buddies called back to D.C. to lend a hand, Georgie could sit back and tell the public he was delegating. The puppet masters moved in, and the business of running the world would easily be left to them. That's all I'm going to read.
Wow. I absolutely want to puke.
There you go. Stupid White Men by Michael Moore. I'd go out and buy 10 copies today and force everybody to read it. You know, it's so astonishing to me. I don't know why it should be to hear these cue card lines that these people are reading. And even he at his press conference here, they'll ask him a question, and instead of answering the question, he just goes back into this, well, we've waited for 12 years now, and he gassed his own people, and he invaded another country, which were things that didn't make a goddamn bit of difference then until he got a little carried away in Kuwait. We went in there to save our friends the Saudis, to bail their ass out, because they were scared spitless. But other than that, we didn't give a flying crap. I mean, with a microscope of the entire world on him now, with all these inspections, which they could double or triple the inspectors, and keep this going on for years if they wanted, without all of this bloodshed, without murdering innocent people, and without subjecting our troops to whatever kind of horror is waiting them when they corner him like a rat. But we don't want to do that because the die, like I told you a long time ago, has already been cast. And isn't it ironic that they came up on that settlement date with the Brits in the U.S. of March 17?
Yeah.
And when they had that article days and days and days ago saying the troops have been told, get ready for a March 17 attack date. Already been decided. There's no debate going on. There's no honest debate of any kind. Anyway. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T. And so you see, like I told you before, those 7 or 8 months when I was reading the bedtime stories, I felt like satisfied, like almost a sexual experience.
Yeah.
Of having, put something out on the air that was worthwhile. The only problem being the audience, huh?
I loved it.
The audience doesn't want to hear that. The audience wants to hear a bunch of knuckleheads. You've lost your audience. Where's the George tapes? They want to hear that.
Another poll.
Yeah, another poll. Oh, thanks for not doing another poll. That's what the audience of South Florida wants. That's what the intellectuals want. Even though they had so many of them their right to vote disenfranchised, they don't give a flying fig. They couldn't give a crap less. Even though we're being censored on this goddamn radio show because of pressure from a bunch of right-wing lunatics who are manipulating and using other people to censor us because they care so much about dark folks? Right. Fox News, my freaking ass. Who the hell are you people kidding? The Bush News Network. And everybody else crumbles, and MSNBC, they crumble. The Roger Ailes story lasted for about 5 minutes. They didn't want to talk about that. Because they're all scared of their own goddamn shadow. And that's why you'll never get the truth from the mass media. Ever. Never, never, ever will you get the real truth from the mass media. All they want to do is make damn sure they keep those spots on the air. That's it. Here's a call from Homestead. Hello. Homestead.
Hello.
Go on.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
That's not a bedtime story.
What is it?
That's not a bedtime story.
Yeah.
That's a fairy tale.
Yeah.
Maybe you and him should elope.
Yeah, okay, great. Good call. There you go, Homestead.
He only waited for an hour to say that.
Waited for an hour to tell me that.
Yeah.
Because no matter what would have been in the stuff I read, he wouldn't listen to any of it anyway.
Before
Fairy
you started
story.
reading, the guy was on.
Yeah. The minute I started, he was on there. And he's been on there hanging the whole time. So he didn't listen to the substance or the essence of one word of it. Here's
Fairy
Cooper
tale.
City. Hello. Cooper City.
Hello, Neil.
Yes.
Excellent book. But I called last week. I told you about the book 1492 to present.
Yeah.
Howard Zinn.
Yeah, you told me already.
Right. It tells the same story that happened there right from the very beginning.
Okay,
Right?
thank you. You called me last week and told me the same thing. See what I mean? There's like 50 callers. There's 50 sports show callers, and there's 50 of our callers, and we've heard from about 10 of them today. I mean, I don't want to sound unappreciative, but this guy called and said the same thing last week, and he's telling me he called me and said the same thing last week, and I haven't got the Howard Zinn book yet, okay? I'm still looking for the Gore Vidal book. How many books can I read all at the same time,
About 30, man.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm working on. About 30. Man, what a response. See what I'm saying? If you're going to expect a response when you take an hour and a quarter of airtime or whatever the hell I took to read all of that stuff, you might as well be farting into a goddamn windstorm, into a hurricane. Go out and take a big dump into the middle of a tornado and see how much impact it has. That's the impact you have in South Florida. Land of the dying, home of the desperate. Here's Miami. Hello.
Hey, I'm a disenfranchised voter from 2000. My ballot was thrown out. So, my ballot got torn.
God, are you chronic, man? Carlos, listen. Can't we find, if we can get some people on besides these same chronic people? Don't you know his voice? Don't you know that voice?
I don't think that was him, because it sounded like him when he
Oh my
got over
God,
the speaker.
this guy, I hear these people in my sleep. I think 27 years is enough, you know what? I think this is enough. I think Neil plays music from now on, starting tomorrow. Neil and his hits. All the hits all the time, huh?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. What?
Sounds good to me, man.
I'm serious. We need somebody to call who's got something to say, not just the same voices of the same tired freaking old people. My God, what is wrong with that town? What is wrong with that goddamn town? Fort Lauderdale, hello.
Yes, good afternoon or good evening, whichever time it is, Neil. How
Good
are you
morning,
today?
yes. Okay.
Yeah, I have to pick up that book. Howard Zinn's book is a good one also, but I heard a little something on LRN this morning on public radio because I don't listen to the Moemeister, and the EPA has now turned around and changed the Cleanup Act for cleaning up after you build for construction sites, and they made it even to 1 acre, but they gave a 2-year furlough to oil and gas.
Right. Yeah, we had that story on our website over the weekend.
Excuse me?
I said we had that story on our website over the weekend. That was one of our stories that we put on there.
Yeah, well, right now I'm computer illiterate because I'm taking care of Mom in her apartment, so I don't get to see that much.
Right.
But it just goes to show that all this is about money, filling these people's pockets, and it's just getting more and more ridiculous. And if people don't wake up, especially in this town, because they're brain dead.
It's unbelievable. I have never in my life, maybe it was fortunate for me to spend such a big chunk of my life in that place because it makes me realize anytime I come anywhere else, including here in Toronto, how different the rest of the world is and be grateful for it.
Well, you have to read other newspapers from other places. You have to pick up certain things. I don't have the cable network where I am now that I could get it, but I get as much as I can with BBC and try and pick up stuff like that. But if you continue to read all of the slop that you get down here and you just listen to the media that's fed to you on regular TV or cable, we're in sad shape. So you got to pick up what you can, and I appreciate you for the bedtime stories. You're doing a decent job, my friend.
Okay, thanks a lot. I may go back to it, okay? Screw it. You know, Muff doesn't like it, and probably Clarence don't like it, and Greg, he didn't even know whether to scream or eat a banana. He don't know what he's doing since he screwed up the whole station. I might just go back to it after I come back from vacation. Just go back to bedtime stories. It's a lot of work. But it sure as hell beats sitting here. 1 out of every 20 calls might be something that somebody would want to put on the air, or somebody that we haven't heard 50 million times.
You're being nice.
That guy that called and said about his vote being disenfranchised, how could you not know that voice by now? My God, I hear him in my sleep. If I die tomorrow, I'll still be hearing his voice in my box. In my grave, I'll be hearing that voice. Oh,
rookie.
Ponderous. What was it?
He's a rookie. I've got rookie ears still.
Oh. Well, I'm not so much talking about you. I'm just talking at the wall, you know? I'm barking at the moon, at the old cockamoon. 12:15 at 560 WQAM. You know, another year has come and gone. We're early into the new year still, and if you made some New Year's resolutions about sprucing up the house, even though it's March, you still can do it. Call our good friends at Dry Concepts, because when they get your carpets really clean, it looks like they're brand new, laid right on your floor. And Dry Concepts is the only service in the world that dry cleans your carpeting, your drapes, your expensive area rugs, and believe me, your friends will think that you've got all brand new, because that's how spectacular they make them look. Nobody else in the world does this, and the world's be doing it, because Dry Concept technicians really know their stuff inside and out. They suck out even the deepest down dirt in the fibers of their carpeting and make them look like you just paid a fortune for brand new carpeting. They'll leave your carpet soil-free, vibrant in color, soft to the touch. They smell lemony fresh. They're dry in a couple of hours, and you'll have a big fat smile on your puss. And don't forget, when it's time to clean your upholstery and leather furniture too, it's time for Dry Concepts. If you have a problem with pet odors or mildew odors caused by water damage, no problem. Dry Concepts will wave their magic wand and make them look just like brand new. So you owe it to yourself to do business with these folks just one time, because I guarantee you'll be using them the rest of your life. And as far as price is concerned, no rip-offs, no games. They give you a written guaranteed price before they start doing the job. Just one more reason I've used them in my house for more than 20 years. Call Dry Concepts toll-free from anywhere, 1-800-248-5071. 1-800-248-5071, or log on to dryconcepts.com. Don't forget, not just a slogan, it's their business when they tell you, clean today, entertain tonight when you use Dry Concepts.
Live and local. This is Sports Radio 560. QAM.
Howard David's a bitch.
A little tabloid spin, oops, I did it again, cocaine. She was handed a line, hit me baby one more time, cocaine. She kinda likes, oh! Cocaine. She says you drive me crazy, cocaine. There'll be more trouble coming for a girl not yet a woman, cocaine. for this girl named Lucky Cocaine.
Yes.
She kinda likes
Oh!
cocaine.
Alleged. 1221 at 560 WQM. So anyway, I just went to see if there were any messages, if any packages had shown up today.
Yeah.
No. How do you like that?
I don't like that.
So that thing that you sent me on Friday, if it doesn't show up here like tomorrow.
Right.
The show that I do on Wednesday, they're going to have to shut down the Cleveland Clinic and all sit around and listen while I do that show.
Just in case.
I mean, it's just unbelievable, unconscionable. And these people are, see, the doctors are never going to get any sympathy out of me. If they have to pay $5 million a year, malpractice insurance, tough cookies. They made their own bed, now they're crapping in it. Okay? Too bad. Because the way that these people do business and the care that they take care of individuals, you can't complain about it because generally there isn't any. So it's unbelievable. Unconscionable. But anyway.
So I got some gossip, by the way.
Yeah, good.
And it also reminds me of something, a whole bunch of things.
Are you starting up again?
Yeah, I am. I'm gonna. Thanks to Flores, by the way, that brought us some nice veal.
It's the best in the city.
It is. It's the best in the studio, as a matter of fact.
Good.
But anyway,
Best in
come to
the building
find out
right
that
now.
this whole, a lot of the contretemps that went on, remember the big fight between Doreen and Howard?
Right. Doreen and who?
Oh, Mo.
Mo.
Sorry. Has a lot to do, there's a lot of friction. There was already a lot of friction bubbling just beneath the surface there because he's really pissed off about the fact that they're doing a promotion with the Beast, who he hates.
Well, what do they want him to do? Get him a date? He's always talking about his wife and being a happily married man. What are they going to do? Do a promotion with him?
Just the fact that they're doing something acknowledging the Beast's present, he's getting attention from the station and from the radio.
I hate to break the news to you, Moj, but just because you don't like somebody doesn't mean the rest of us are going to dislike them, especially since all the rest of us hate you like poison. In fact, it might encourage us to like them more.
Right.
Because if you dislike them, it means that they're probably not so bad.
So all the business is comment about why don't you go kiss Hank's fat ass like you've been doing all week and all of this.
This is what he was screaming at Doreen.
That has, yeah, right.
I can't stop!
Because it was Hank's idea. That promotion was Hank's idea.
Right.
So, of course, the promotions department is kissing his fat ass by doing something for the Beast.
Yeah, let me say it again, because I'm just, I had a stroke 3 weeks ago last night.
Don't have another
nice
one.
recovery. I feel pretty good. But I want to say this. The idea that this insanity, I have never seen anybody who claims to be a management person allow anybody to come into a place of business, which we supposedly are, even though we don't pay our bills too good, but a place of business which we supposedly are, always crowing about we're the number one billing station in the whole market, we got good numbers, we kick ass, we do this, and allow one person to come in and create the chaos and disruption and the anti-human element. If I could tell you, being here, if it were only for the reason that I don't even have to be in the same building with him, which I don't have to see him when I come in here, because he hides in the studio when I'm down there, but just knowing that I'm not in the same building, it makes it so much more pleasant right off the top.
But wait, there's more.
I can't stop! Yeah.
So the whole thing
That's only the beginning?
Well, yeah, that's what was bubbling under the surface, but what caused the bubble to burst was apparently, and this is according to witnesses, he wanted some more passes or tickets or whatever it was that they were giving away there. And Doreen said,
Passes to what?
Whatever it was, I don't know. Whatever, they were giving some worthless tchotchkes out at the table there.
Yeah.
And he wanted some more tickets or whatever it was to give to somebody that came by, maybe somebody he knew, who knows. And she said, well, how many more do you want? And he took that as she was being sarcastic. She didn't have the right timbre in her voice or something, apparently. And, and then that's what caused him to blow up, and she gave it right back to him, and everybody was congratulating her afterwards and slapping her on the back and saying kudos, because she gave it back to him.
You better watch your back, Doreen. We had the Watch Your Back Zach song a few weeks ago. Now it's going to be Watch Your Back, Doreen, because now you'll be the next one on his list to try to get fired at it. Doreen.
You asshole.
Nice going, Doreen. I'm starting to like her a lot better now, you know?
That's right.
Don't you think?
Absolutely. She
must be
heroine.
and I congratulate her for having the balls, big round ones, to give it right back to him and not take any crap from a surly, old, crusty piece of dirt like that. Just tragic, just pathetic. What Greg Reed has foisted on this radio station. And you know what? It's interesting that this is all happening right now, because it all goes back a year and a half to the first of these series of Very Jackass articles. Well, he wasn't happy with the first team, and their numbers weren't so great, blah, blah, blah. I'll guarantee you he would kiss the goddamn ground right now he would eat 4 pounds of dog manure if he could get the first team back. I guarantee you that. I'll bet your life on it, and Carlos too. That's right.
That ain't worth much.
Well, I'm telling you
and
right
Carlos
now.
is either.
He made this mess, and now all of us are stewing in it. All of us are smelling it, man. Oh, my God, the aroma, the stench is just unbelievable of what this man has created.
If there's a but, I smell it.
Yeah, well, smell this, okay, Mo? That's for you, you crusty old fart, you silly old goose with checkered pants and bad varicose veins. God, he's enough to make me pop a big roid right here, a grape-sized hemorrhoid, right on his chair. 1227 at 560 WQAM. You know, guys' size does matter. We've been telling you that for a long time. A lot of you are in denial. According to the Florida Department of Labor, computer professionals have got big, impressive paychecks. And you ought to have one, too. According to the state of Florida, computer careers are among the highest paid and in highest demand. And fast track can help you achieve your new high-paying computer career in just 4 short months. They've got locations all over town. They're in Kendall, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Pembroke Pines, with day, evening, and weekend schedules, so they make it convenient for you. So no longer is there any excuse to stay in a dead-end, low-paying job working for some real schmuck, for some real no-talent moron, when you can start having a real income and some real talent yourself. Pick up that phone and call Fast Train right now. Get all the details. There's no obligation. Call 1-866-FAST-TRAIN and get yourself some skills and a real career. That's 1-866-FAST-TRAIN. They've got full-time job placement, guaranteed financing, too. Check them out on the web if you like at fasttrain.com, or call them today and get yourself started on the road to some real big fat paychecks. 1-866-FAST-TRAIN.
Live and local. This is 560. The radio's all yours now. QAM.
America loves to watch boobs and butts and boinking.
What's that crap they play down the hall?
That's power!
Power 96.
What garbage. The kids today don't know what's good. Like that song, I'm happy I live in a split-level head. You remember that? How can you... Listen. I'm happy I live in a split-level head. I'm happy I live in a split-level head. You don't remember that?
No.
No?
Why am I surrounded by morons?
Come on, Howie.
Don't you call me Howie. I've had enough insubordination from you, pal.
No.
You shut up, fatso. Okay, that's it. You're all fired.
You fat, stupid boob. You listen to me. You're fired. Guilty, that goes for you, too. You know who I am? I'm the king of paradise. I came down here after losing my job to be a big fish in a little pond. When they kicked me off ESPN, they told me don't come back again. I had some problems with wise guys who advised I move to paradise. Florida. Fired. That McNeil ain't no Louis Nye. That guy was funny. You're all fired. And I hope that shit guzzler dies.
I hope he dies. But I hope you all die. I'm a big fish in a little pond, see? A big fish in a little pond. Is anybody listening to me? I'm a big fish in a little pond, a big fish in a little pond, a big fish in a little pond. Yeah! What is anybody into on me?
Now, calm down.